Hey guys, welcome to episode 247 of 4Player Animecast. I am your host, Spire. Here with me are my compatriots. I guess I'm changing up the order a little bit. Near?
Huh? I feel like I'm always first.
No, it's usually me.
No, I meant order of like what I'm doing introduction wise.
Oh,
Um, Toast,
What?
Dark,
Yo.
and everybody's here on this wonderful day. 11th of May, 10:19 p.m. on the eastern coast of the United States. A little bit later than usual. I apologize. But
we're
yeah,
always late.
yeah, that is true. Timely manner, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the middle of the spring 2024 season. I think everything's in their episode fives and sixes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So we are smack dab in the middle of it. We want to let you guys know that we are taking a little bit of a delay for the next episode. We're going to be skipping our usual schedule, and that's why we kind of pulled back our. Uh, we had this one a little bit early, but I am going on a vacation where I don't really know the status of my internet connection there or whatever. So we're having this a little bit earlier, but it's going to be all kind of the same since everything's mid-season, anyways. So we have a couple more stuff to hit on the way. I think maybe this episode. Uh, I think this episode still has some pretty decent titles, but then I think once we have the next couple of episodes, we're going to be really starting to crank out some of the heavy hitters, or I guess the big names of the season. But yeah, anyways, let's start off here. To I guess 1 week, right?
Yeah.
How has your last week been? Near briefly.
It's been chill.
Mm-hmm.
Play more mahjong. My luck has turned
Nice.
up a little bit.
That's usually how it does go. Law of big numbers, right?
Yeah.
But,
I also spent a lot of money in Match Soul, which I'm not really proud of.
for
But
skins, for what is, or not the skins, but the characters, right? Which character did you buy?
well, I had to spark, because
Okay.
yeah, I bought like I think I bought like 30 rolls.
The most recent collab is the Railgun.
The Blue Archive collab
Oh
for Match
yes,
Soul. Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. Okay.
The Blue Archive characters. I really wanted. Well, I wanted a couple characters, but I really wanted Hoshino, right? And
Mhm.
I was really close to a spark, so I was like, you know what? I could probably just do it. I ended up spending like was it like $30 for like the first time package stuff, because I don't like spending money in Match Soul because it's a really fucking stingy game. But I did it anyway. Um, and then I ended up having a Sparker. I rolled Mutsuki along the way, which is kind of nice, I guess. Cute. Um, I wanted Shiroko too, but we can't all be winners.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was like, fuck, I really want the costume for Hoshino too. Um, so I spent like $20 on that as well. Um, not really my proudest moment, but yeah. We do what we gotta do. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun. Other than that, mostly just gotcha shit.
Near.
Okay.
Some
Did you see the
Tekken as well. I hit
tea?
Garyu rank, which was
Oh
wow,
shit! Nice,
wow, super
nice.
epic. Um, but yeah,
Toast, were you going to say something?
Near, did you see the Aurora Borealis?
no, I didn't.
Oh, why not?
Okay, neither did I.
Yeah, cause it's fucking cloudy all the time here.
Oh,
So
yeah. Apparently, Near had a once in a lifetime chance to see the Aurora Borealis, but he
yeah,
didn't see it.
I mean,
So
it's not really once in a lifetime. You can travel to see them, but you know,
when
what do you mean?
I think
when
like
can he see
isn't
the
it
Aurora
can't you
Borealis?
like consistently see it like yearly in Alaska? Like
Yeah,
But
like
Near, you could have seen it entirely localized in your kitchen.
well,
Yes.
I couldn't because again, it's always cloudy here.
Oh,
So yeah,
maybe
no
next time.
eclipse for me, no Aurora Borealis. But yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I
Pretty
see
good.
it. No.
did you travel to the Mecca of Toronto now?
the Mecca of Toronto.
No.
Yeah,
No,
New Ho
I have
King.
not. No.
Did not go to New Ho King to get the Kendrick Lamar combo.
No.
Fried rice with the dipping sauce and the blammy.
God damn. Anyways, thank you, Nier. What about you, Toast?
Uh,
Toast.
do you
Your
do you think
past week.
do you think Germa's okay?
Yeah, I think he's chilling.
How much arsenic do you think he's consumed?
Probably like 2 tons worth.
Because did you guys hear about the apple juice recall?
No.
Martinelli's, you know, the kind that Germa likes, has a recall notice on the glass bottles because they contain elevated levels of arsenic. Apparently,
What
Nice.
the fuck?
What does elevated levels mean?
more than safe for consumption.
Uh,
And that's a shame because is that the reason why I haven't seen Martinelli's recently? I just got the Costco kind. So, oh well, I guess I'm not drinking Martinelli's this year until they get rid of that arsenic.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I saw Seed Freedom this Tuesday in sub because I'm not a filthy dub watcher. Also, apparently the dub actors were changed, so
nice.
good. 18,
All right.
18 years since Seed, came out. They mentioned that.
Mhm.
And as far as anime movies goes, it wasn't bad. Hot take, it looked better, or it was. I have to choose my words carefully. I liked it better than Hathaway's Flash.
Hot take.
Pretty good.
Would you like me to talk about? Oh, not really a hot take. People actually like the Seed Freedom. Did I say Seed Destiny? No, it's Seed Freedom. Would you like me to talk about the movie a bit?
Just give us your brief thoughts on it, I guess.
So the story is basically there's a new breed of coordinators. They're like super coordinators, but they're called Accords. I don't. Someone has to tell me why they went from a coordinators to accord. Like the Geneva Accords.
Probably
But they're
because
just
whoever was writing it thought it sounded cool.
yeah. So these new guys fly in with their femto armor mobile suits, which are immune to beam weapons. So you have to. So they beat up everyone. And there's some melodramatic stuff that oh the main guy wants Lacus Klein because she's like the ultimate coordinator and he's in accord, so they're destined to be together. And Kira's sad, so it's a super melodramatic love story, love triangle,
Wow. From
love
Seed?
NTR.
No way.
Yeah, but yeah, and well, whatever. There's a lot of homages to like the old Gundam series in this, like because they're super coordinators now. They have new type powers, whatnot.
Mhm.
They can talk to each other through space. I believe they already had that with coordinator stuff, but now they can do it even more and mind control and whatnot. But other than that,
Okay.
I was skeptical about the CG in the movie, but after watching it, it was a pretty long movie. It was like what I think like 90 minutes to 2 hours. Uh, it looked pretty good overall. It was a visual spectacle. There was lots of battles. Um, the thing is, I think Seed is one of the few series in Gundam that has actual like naval ship combat in its in that's prevalent in it. Like mostly in other series, you don't see ship to ship battles. It's usually mobile suit to mobile suit combat. But there was a lot of that in this series, so shout out to that. Other than that, pretty cool. Mobiles. I've always liked the way the Seed mobile suits looked because they're like super angular and whatnot, and the cockpit kind of looks like like a jet plane and whatnot. And I like the aesthetic of freedom and strike freedom. I will say though, the Kira suits in this one, it's called, what is it? Rising Freedom. That's like the side grade of, well, that's a side grade upgrade of freedom, because the war is over. You can't have nuclear powered mobile suits anymore. So it's powered by a battery. So he has, he
I
goes
like
from
how the
strike freedom
problem with
to
mobile suits was that it
freedom
was
again.
nuclear powered.
Yeah, not the fact that
But
it's
the
a
fact that there's
walking
just like a
death
giant,
machine capable of
giant death
wiping out
robot
entire
that can like
armies.
That was the whole
vaporize
thing
No, you
about
gotta
somebody with
make
like one
sure.
swing of a sword. Like,
that was the
Yeah,
whole
you
thing
gotta
about
make sure
Seed
that
though.
the disasters don't
Yeah.
happen again, bro.
Seed was all like, "Oh, nuclear power bad. We're gonna install nuclear powered jammers all across the world." So that's why they had battery powered mobile suits. But then, like the end game suits have end jammer cancelers, so they can use nuclear power and whatnot. But yeah,
Mhm.
so his suit is the rising. Is it rising freedom? But then it gets destroyed. Then he gets strike freedom back. Strike freedom type 2, because apparently the first one was destroyed somehow. And then that gets beat up, but then he gets an upgrade into the mighty strike freedom.
Wow.
And it's called mighty because the director likes Kuga. So I was like, damn, all right. And the upgrade is like, oh, it's the O Gundam into the double O Gundam upgrade, where now it's Lacus is piloting this mighty strike freedom with Kira, and lo and behold, it's new type bullshit. But it's not, because it's not new type psychic powers, it's electromagnetic powers. So you can disable an entire fleet with it. And I'm like, what?
That makes sense, yeah.
I don't know. It's nanoparticle electromagnetic stuff uses to dismantle an entire fleet. And I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, all the characters come back, and they're all matured in some way, and except Kira. Kira's like, everyone is rightly portrayed except Kira, because Kira's sad and depressed, because he's like, when will this war ever end? And I'm not good enough for Lacus because I can't bring world peace. And I'm like, damn, his character took a nosedive from Destiny. Even Shin was better than this in this movie. But yeah, visual spectacle. If you like Seed and Seed Destiny, you definitely like this movie. Everyone's portrayed, even the dead characters. Because remember, new types are back, but they're not. They're coordinators. So yeah, overall, very good movie. Definitely a must-watch.
How many sweaty nerds were in the theater?
Quite a bit. Apparently,
Nice.
Seed's more. There was a lot of females too, because Seed Freed was.
Yeah.
But like overall, even though I don't like Seed or Destiny all that much, but I like the most, it's actually a really good movie. Even though I think the story is way melodramatic. Maybe it's because I'm too old. It's been 18 years and I'm too old for this. Oh, for Kira's bullshit. Man, sad boy Kira, no thanks, bro. But yeah, definitely a must watch.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Toast.
By the way,
Uh,
my favorite overall suit is Destiny, and Destiny was it Destiny specification 2 in this movie? Pretty cool.
yeah. Anyways, thank you, Toast, for your week and the review as well. Dark, last week, please, pretty quickly.
not a whole lot really new. Just been keeping up with stuff. Still some shows that I've been meaning to start. And I just
Oh,
kind of
oh,
haven't gotten
Dark.
around to.
And Dark. Did you see the Aurora Borealis? Because apparently you could have seen it too.
No, because it was partly cloudy where I was, and I don't know. I just like I couldn't see anything. Even when it was, even like the parts that like weren't cloudy, I just like didn't see shit. So it's whatever, you know. Oh
Can't
well.
believe the world is
I mean, they
going to end
call
from
it
this
like
electromagnetic
once in
storm.
a
Yeah.
lifetime, and yet it's gonna be like, hey guys, we've got the worst solar flare happening in 2 years.
Were there any power outages? Because apparently there's you, it's like a
No, I think
giant
it
EMP. It could take
disrupted
out all life.
radio.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think that that's ever like
They always say
reasonable.
that,
They
but like
say that, but I don't think that's really what'll ever happen. I don't think like I'm pretty sure if a solar flare was like strong enough to like literally EMP electronics, it would actually like be strong enough that you would just die. Like
yeah, like
because
the Earth would get like cooked.
because like there's a difference between like what might happen with like a like internet outages and stuff like that and disruption for the time being. And that's like way different than just like frying your fucking electronics. Like,
Yeah.
if it's powerful enough to do that, I'm pretty sure you're just getting vaporized as well. Either that or you're just getting like instant radiation sickness
Yeah,
or some shit.
yeah.
Like,
are we talking Fallout or are we talking Modern? Was it Modern Warfare 2 or 3?
I mean, probably Fallout, right? Because like it would have to be such a high dose of
Yeah, like half
like
the Earth would just get cancer and
radiation.
die. Like
Like it
Would
would
you
have to
rather?
be such a high dose of radiation that it's like enough to interrupt your electronics, which is like
Would you
a
rather be a
lot.
ghoul or dead?
Probably a ghoul.
Hell yeah.
I want to see what happens. But yeah, not too much else, you know. Still been keeping up with gotcha games.
Mhm.
And yeah. I don't think
All
I
right.
don't think there's been any news on that front. We still got a couple more weeks before what is it, Weathering Waves comes out, and then we, you know, this is a big gotcha game year coming up, so
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Dark. As for me, I think, it's been pretty quiet. Again, mostly just VTubers, anime stuff. Real life has also been me preparing for my vacation as well
Oh
as
yeah, what videos
uh,
have you been watching? What?
mostly Korean VTuber. Although a lot of the pretty much I think most of the VTubers that I've been following on Twitch or like on my timeline have been playing Street Fighter 6. So there's been like everybody's just been screaming for that for an event. So I've been watching that, and like the quarter of the VTubers who aren't playing on my feed are playing the stupid Sisyphus game or whatever.
Hey, what's
Um,
wrong?
oh, the
Hey
Boulder
man,
game.
did you
yeah, the
not see
stupid.
Corone's stream? Pretty good.
Yeah, that's such a
Yeah,
like fucking
yeah.
streamer game though.
I think what is also stupid is that I think it's you know the whole streamer game thing is inevitable at this point, and maybe even that much is quote unquote tolerable. Not really, but I feel like this one in particular, the Sisyphus game, is just mean. Like at some point, I
And
think
what? And only up wasn't mean?
only up was like I feel like only up
I
in
feel like
some
only up's
senses.
like mean bits were like for comedic effect. You know what I mean? I feel like the
Or
Sisyphus
and it's
game is kind
also
of just like
but
go fuck yourself. You know what
don't
I
you
mean?
love NFTs and really janky
I think
hitbox?
only up
Yeah.
was like there are points where it's like obviously fucked up and you need to restart and do whatever, and that's bad. But in terms of the general travel, getting point A to point B is generally not terrible. It's not pain and suffering every single moment. But the Sisyphus game is clearly every single waking moment that you're playing that game is suffering, and then you hit the golem or you slip on the ice once, and you're just screwed.
Yeah.
And it's just
It's
mean, I
symbolic, dude.
think. Yeah, yeah, it's just mean spirited, I think, at that point. So I don't really like that game as much. Like even when I see the quote unquote funny clips, it's more just like it's so obvious that the game is just flipping the middle finger at you at all times instead of quote unquote really tricking you again, like only up or Foddy or not Foddy, the what is it, the
Getting over it.
What's the game with yeah, getting over it and stuff like that. It's not as mean spirited as those aren't as mean spirited. So I don't know. It was so that's been pretty much it, VTuber stuff, and also I've been doing some more remote work for some reason because my the office at work is closed down because they have people checking it for security measures and stuff like that. But you know, it's been a hectic week for me. So
Chinese remote control bugs. Yeah.
yeah, all the also that reminds me.
Yeah,
For
someone
some
installed
reason,
TikTok. Uh-oh.
yeah. I didn't have to do this when I went to Japan, but apparently South Korea is labeled as a country with a high risk of counterintelligence tactics. So I apparently can't use any work-related communication devices, stuff like that, while I'm in South Korea, which
Nice.
like offends me a little bit in one sense,
Yeah,
because
you're
I
on
feel like
you're on
You're
thin ice,
compromised,
pal.
bro.
You're
Yeah, you're
on thin
compromised.
ice, buddy.
I'm Korean, must be a fucking spy.
Yeah.
Why don't
Because
just Spire? Just go to the other Korea.
yeah, just
That's
hop on
true.
over.
That would go over even better, I think.
No, because then you could be like, I'm a
Um,
spy for you guys. See, I'm spying on them in North Korea.
But yeah, so that's pretty much about it for my week. And without further ado, I guess we should move on to our reviews, starting off with Toast. What do you have for us?
Gone.
He's
You
dead.
guys, do you guys, you guys like the Yowamushi pedal, right?
Sure.
I mean, it was popular for sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fucking popular.
What if I don't know I don't know I don't have a segue for this. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched Rinkai. Why? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So Rinkai is a bicycle cycling anime, like women's cycling anime. It is an anime original, I believe, or it is. I
It,
think it's
it
supposed
is
to be a
a
multimedia project.
multimedia project
Yes,
because a
yes,
manga
by
also came
Atlantis.
out at the same time. So
Yes, yes, yes. So I believe TMS Entertainment and Six Studio are helping to co-produce it. Mainly, I think TMS Entertainment people.
Yeah.
Helping obviously with the production and overlooking the multimedia project is Atlantis. So
Wow.
please do go on, Toast.
so I how, one two let me count 1, 2, 3, 4. Was it 5? I think it was 5, right? Yeah. So it's apparently in this world, bicycling originated in Japan. It is the mecca
Just
of
like the people
bicycling,
from
Humanity
Mars.
has roots in Japan.
which is weird because I had to ask these dudes. I was like, I don't think bicycling's from Japan. Isn't it like a French thing? Because like the fancy French race that's popular every year. What's it called? The Tour de France.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Tour
bicycling?
de France.
But yeah, so I bring this up because well, yeah. So and then the synopsis on my anime list is women's bicycle racing was born during the post-war period of turmoil. And then
What?
I don't know what that means. But so, yeah, so it was a popular sport for about 15 years after post World War II, and then it ended. But now they're back somehow
The sport
as
ended.
yes, the sport,
Okay.
and then they came back as the Rinkai League. So this is a story about a bunch of girls from all over Japan who have been inspired by, I believe, these two specific rate cyclists. They're one of the. It's their names are Kurme Sutsuji and
Lance Armstrong.
this. This my anime list sucks. It doesn't even have the all the main characters. and I think what's her name? Tachibana? Whatever. These two. Okay, Tachikawa Reimu and Kurume Satsuji. These are like the two racing queens of. Called. What's the sport called in Japan?
What?
Just women cycling.
Tracks like track cycling? I don't know.
Keirin. And
Okay.
Keirin is a sport where you've ever seen a velodrome and whatnot. It's track cycling, so
Yeah, it's track.
it's the one where the dudes bike around in a velodrome, which is like this big arena that's elevated, like in a big circle, and you ride around it, whatnot. It's different from Yowamushi pedal, which is what marathon biking.
Yeah.
This is like an indoor sport and whatnot. But yeah, so these group of 5 girls who are who have a YouTube channel that follow these two race queens. They watch a race and they're like, "Damn, we saw a race live. Let's all become cyclists." And so that's their reason for becoming
Wow.
cyclists. So there's a I should have wrote down the names. So the main character is Ito Izumi, who's voiced by Umino Kawamura. I
Are they
believe this
mostly
is
new
her.
people?
Yeah, this
Or-
looks like her. This is her debut
So they're
role.
treating it kind of like an idol project, right? Right,
Sure,
like 2D.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
And then Kumamoto Ai, voiced by Minami Hinata, who is not new. Sorry,
Okay.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I bet I know why, but yeah. And then 3 others. They're not really that important. One of them's named Miko. I believe she was like the administrator of the website that they made. But then there's some older chick. And then there's some rich Ojo-sama. I forget their names, but they're not important because I'll bring it up later. But yeah, so the main character is basically Ito Izumi, Kumamoto Ai, and the rival character, Hiratsuka Nana, voiced by Azusa Aoi. And I bring her up this early because she's half French.
Wow.
Get it?
Okay.
Get it? Because bicycling originated in France, so she has the genetic. She's the genetic Ubermensch of the series. So that's why
Okay.
she's like the powerful main rival that appears, who beats everyone else because she's half French
Okay.
and she trains overseas and whatnot. But yeah, so they see a race, and then they're like, "Hey, let's all the 5 of us. That's Miko, Izumi, and the 3 others. They're like, let's become cyclists together." And they're like, "Okay." But Izumi's like, "No, I don't know if I can," because she's a wishy-washy, indecisive main character. Because she's just 17, you know. She she makes a big deal like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to make cycling my entire life. Like, maybe I just want to go to college or whatnot." But then, uh, but then Kurume, who is like one of the 2 racing queens that I mentioned earlier, she shows up because they were all in a hot spring together, and she was at the hot spring too. And she's like, "Hey, uh, live your dreams and whatnot. I'm rooting for you. We need to promote women's bike racing and whatnot, bicycling." They're like, "Damn, she spoke to us. We must become cyclists," except for Izumi and whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's a bunch of that, and then Izumi's like the other 4 are like already starting to become cyclists. They're like training and whatnot, and Izumi's like floundering around saying, "Oh, I don't know if I want to be this." And then she talks to a Dagashi owner, who's this old lady and whatnot. And well, before that, Izumi directly sent a letter to Kurumi asking her like Kurume asking like, "Hey, should I become a cyclist even though you said we should?" And she's like, "Do you like Dagashi?" Which is some cryptic way of like saying, "Hey, go to this Dagashi shop." because apparently when Izumi decides to become a cyclist somehow, like through an episode, the garashi owner, which is this old lady, takes her to an underground bunker where, lo and behold, turns out she's a legendary. She's one of the legendary cyclists from 15 years ago during the post Japan World War era. So so Izumi gets training from her, and with that, and while she gets training, the five of them all apply to this Rinkai school. Is that what it's called? Sure, the Rinkai school.
Academy, I guess, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Where they're all training to become cyclists, and it's an interesting academy because it's would you call it it's more like a training school? Anyone
Yeah,
can
it's
join
some
regardless
sort
of
of
age.
yeah. Some
Because
sort of educational thing related to Rinkai.
one of the because like everyone's like between the ages of 17 to 26, so whatever. I guess there's no limit on what age you have to can be to become an athlete and whatnot. And so yeah, that's basically where we're at now. The first three episodes were about Izumi trying to like find her focus and apply to this Rinkai school, and now we're at the part where they're in the training arc to join the big leagues. And there's so far, as of today, there's about 5 episodes and whatnot. So yeah, training.
So, is
It's
this from your guess? Is this going to be? I know it's a little bit hard to just kind of say it, especially since, um, because the story is going to have to mesh well with what the author, not what the authors, what the sort of producers, right, of the multimedia project have in mind with regards to the overall story and lore of the multimedia project, right? So it's a little bit hard to just be like, oh, what do you think is going to happen? But um, is this going to mainly just after they all kind of get settled in to the training academy or whatever, right? Is it going to just go over the backgrounds and like current motivations of the characters and then they all run off into the sunset, do you think? Because that's like a standard setup for a multimedia project, kind of idle ish series, right? Or do you think it's going to be folk, at least because it's an anime, right? Near the end, they're going to be focusing on this one big event, and after quickly setting up all the characters, they're just going to all have them pile into practicing and performing at that big tournament or whatever. How do you think that the rest of the anime is kind of end up taking place?
so far the entire story has been all seriousness. There's like barely any comedic moments in this entire series. It's like, hey,
Okay.
we're gonna do this. We're training to get to this school. We got to this school, and now we're training to become like professional athletes. And
Mm.
that's about it so far. So from what I don't know, maybe there's going to be some big cycling tournament everyone can participate in, like near the end of the series.
I mean, more than likely, right? It seems like a fairly standard sports anime, right?
It's pretty
So
standard. Yeah.
they go through the
Well,
training
Yeah.
arc, they go through the tournament arc stuff, right?
they
I just think that there's a higher chance of them, like after they introduce the character, they just go, "Wow, that's we're gonna have more because we're gonna have more adventures." Because again, that's the whole like, um, it's like the setup for an anime that's a promotion for a multimedia project. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
I I
Maybe.
want to say that they've taken ideas from Blue Lock because in
Okay.
Blue Lock the overall constant theme of that series is ego. Like you have to have this hunger to be like I want to become the #1 striker in the world, which is what the Blue Lock Protocol is. It's a training camp to produce Japan's #1 striker, whatnot. And so everyone's like fighting each other pretty hard. But in
Mm-hmm.
this series, the overall like constant theme is rivalry in a way.
Yeah, I
They
mean, also it's not a battle royale like Blue Lock is really. So
they introduced these two racing queens, like the two top women racers together and say, oh, they're rivals and they're friends. And
Mhm.
the the one that's moving the one that's moving the story along and is acting more of a main character than Izumi is Kumamoto Ai, who's the pink one. She's the one who was the first one to say, "Hey, let's all become cyclists together," and I want to become the number one cyclist. And she's the first one to say this here, that Nana, the blue one,
Mhm.
who he's the first one to say, going to I'm going to make her my rival and whatnot. And she's the one always constantly like overtraining. Like in every episode, you see she's training harder and harder than anyone else in order to beat her, even though Nana's like obviously the top number one at that school. She's the she's the undisputed second. Uh, Kumamoto Ai is. So yeah, she's the one saying, "Oh, I'm in here. She's my rival. I must beat her." And then Izumi is the ones who has been shown to have the potential because her times are good, and
So
Karume
most like
saying she's the one that's like, "Oh, I have my eye on her, and she has the potential," but she hasn't unlocked her motivation and her dedication yet, whatnot. So
so most of these like episodes and kind of the screen time for the series is spent on just kind of individual, not descriptions, but I guess expositions of the personalities of each character, right? The
pretty much,
setting up the backgrounds and stuff like that, and not as much the focus on like super kind of uh I guess I want to say interpersonal interactions with the networking between the cast. It's more just like this is the character, they have these views like towards some other people, but it's like in general they're this character, and it's
yeah.
mostly in those episodes. Yeah.
And the key visual has like Izumi's group of friends, and then Nana over there as like the sixth member, but she's the rival character. But
Uh-huh.
three of Izumi's friends, they're not as good as her. Like they weren't invited to this like what was it, like some sort of like special race in the training school to like
Okay.
to show to see if they could like become substitutes for the international for the to become substitutes for the official racers and whatnot. So the only ones that made it of the group was I and Izumi. So that's why I said the other three they're they don't really matter right now.
Mhm.
But it's like this. There's this triangle of three main characters, even though Kumamoto Ai is listed as supporting. I bet I know why, and it's kind of showing because in one of the later episodes it shows Ai's overtraining and she collapses, and then she comes back to the training camp after what like a small vacation, and she's covered in bandages, so she might kind of obvious what they're trying to do with her
The
character.
classic, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. So overall, it's a pretty. I want to say it's an honest series,
What do you mean by that?
as in it's pretty straightforward in what it does. It doesn't beat around the
Oh, okay,
bush,
okay, okay, okay.
and so what you see is what you get. There's no underlying. Oh, there's no underlying like funny moments in this series. It's pretty much a straight, serious sports series.
Okay.
That's why I say it's honest. But yeah,
Okay.
what else?
But I mean, so what do you think it's? Hmm. I guess, well, when you say it's just like a straightforward sports series, are you saying just, it's just going through like the standard sports stuff that it's doing without um being overly dramatic about some of the characters and like their backgrounds and stuff like that? Is that what you're sort of getting at?
There's no, so far no one's had there's no real tragic heroine in this series. They're all like, oh,
Okay.
we come in through cycling from all walks of life, and we want to take this seriously. But the only one who's wishy-washy is Izumi. But she has to find her motivation because she has the potential to be Nana's rival. And like I said, I has proclaimed herself to be Nana's rival, and vice versa. Then Nana's saying like, "Oh, you're holding back, so I don't see you as a rival. I don't like you that much."
Mhm.
But but yeah, she has to find a motivation before she becomes the true Rinkai, I guess, in a way.
Mhm. No.
That's pretty much the story. What else? Visuals.
Visuals, yeah.
Now the main thing. The visuals, they suck. 3D is bad, dude.
Oh no. So what are they? What are
All the
they?
racing
So
is
first question is,
CG, right?
so
Like
what
all
do
the
they?
Like
side
ninety
Yeah.
fights.
percent of the racing is CG. Like
Do
one,
they show like weird details? Like you know how in music anime when sometimes they turn the players into they turn the player playing into 3D CG. You sometimes see the fingers in 3D and they're moving like very awkwardly,
yeah.
very robot. Is it kind of similar in that sense?
No, it's when they're racing. They use a lot of CG, and
Okay.
you can tell the CG because everyone has the same body type. Everyone has
Uh,
roughly the same face and the same movements, and they're
mhm,
like, it looks bad.
mhm,
Like if you look at it, it looks really bad. You can see from like the trailer, like even from the trailer, it looked really bad and flat and whatnot. And sometimes they juxtaposition like, oh, here's a 3D body, but here's the 2D face when they're zooming in, and you can really tell, and it's jarring.
mhm.
It looks bad. But sometimes when they don't use 3D, it looks good. It's fine. It matches with everything else in the series and whatnot. So, but that's like my only real caveat because 3D looks bad. I don't know why they chose to do that. Maybe it's because it's easier to animate cycling if they all use the same body type and the same animation over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, if they're
Not
animating
sure.
a bunch of cyclers next to each other, then they just use the same model and animation set and copy paste it
But
and just
Yowamushi
make them
Pedal
a bunch
didn't
of
look
different
like
cars.
that.
Yeah, well, Yowamushi Pedal also had money behind it, so you know.
Mm.
But yeah,
Uh,
other than that, it's surprisingly decent for what it is. So, I mean, like I said, it's honest. So I can't fault it for being honest.
mm,
They're not trying to be funny or quirky or anyway. It's pretty straightforward.
mm.
It's no Keijo, that's for sure. Even though
Well,
Keijo was
Keijo,
played seriously.
yeah, I think I think one of the I guess hotter takes in this podcast is probably I have come around in a sense to
Wait, you hated Keijo? Damn,
I didn't
what's wrong
hate
with you?
Cage. It's like uh it's kind of like there like when it first was announced and when the initial episodes came out I was kind of like whatever but um I think looking back I appreciate the cheesiness more than I did when it was live if that makes sense so um I think hitting that sort of same tone is a very high bar to hit because it's very hard to do that with something that's not Keijo, especially if it's something like Rinkai, right? Where it's like it's all supposed to be serious and wow, we're cycling, we're such cyclers, it's a little bit hard to do the same thing. So
But yeah,
yeah,
like I said, no one in this series has like an overly quirky personality. Like one of
okay.
the, I
Yeah,
guess,
they're trying to do straight man stuff, right?
like
Yeah.
maybe I want to say like one of the most outlandish things is that one of Izumi's group is the daughter of a Zaibatsu, and she's like, "Oh, money, money. I don't have any. Like I bet 1 million yen on these two racing queens in like the race that we watched, but they lost, so I just lost 1 million yen." But then after that, she's like immediately goes serious, like saying like, "Oh, about that time, like in my Zaibatsu family, about this time, everyone in my family goes independent for a few years and then comes back to the Zaibatsu." So it's like, oh, now she has no. She went from having money to no money and being independent. So back to serious mode again. So like, yeah, that's
Okay.
why I say it's honest in the series. Everyone's serious. What else? The opening is what is the opening? What's it called? The opening is Wind Shifters, sung by
Okay.
Riko Sasaki. I don't know who Riko Sasaki is.
Isn't she also one of the people in voice acting in the? I feel like she is, right?
She's she's Kurume. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's the race. She's one of the two race queens. So good for
Yep.
her.
Okay. It's kind of like that's almost like a Symphogear-ish setup, right? Because it's like how Nana's Misuke Nana is one of the the main two idols, big idols in Symphogear. It's like that similar thing.
Same figure. I think give me Nanoha.
Yeah. Okay. So I
Yeah.
guess overall,
Overall, Mal has it as a 5.86. What the hell?
Probably because it's
you know,
ugly.
Maybe they don't like the CG. I mean, I hate the CG,
yeah.
but like
Yeah, I mean that's usually how mall goes.
the CG looks pretty bad. I want to say, and it looks slow. I want to say, if you want to make the CG look better, you might want to play the racing parts in like 1.5 to 2 times speed, just to make it look like an actual race. But like, whatever. That's a small caveat.
Yeah.
Overall, it's actually a pretty enjoyable series. Like,
Okay.
it's honest. That's what I say. Like, it knows what it is, and it's not trying to be anything else.
Okay.
High speed.
Well,
I have a feeling High Speed Etoile is gonna not be honest. Gonna be
that's
pretty.
very.
Gonna be
I think
pretty
that's a
outlandish compared to this one,
yeah.
which
High
is more
speed
grounded in
Atoll
reality.
Yeah, High Speed Atoll's premise isn't just very good from the onset. I think so. But
At least the CG
anyway.
is gonna be better in High Speed Etoile. But yeah, overall, I have to give this like a solid
So
6.7. It's honest.
okay. Good.
No real like bad things to say. People might say
Mhm.
it's boring, but I say it's honest. Points
Honest.
points been docked for bad CG though.
Yeah.
You didn't
All
have to
right.
do that. Just like put in the 2D parts and whatever.
Yeah, they
But yeah,
gotta they
overall,
gotta strut out their 3D CG technique technologies.
well, maybe they should have hired a better studio for the CG. Oh wait, they're probably doing High Speed Etoile.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
overall, I'd recommend it.
Okay.
Why not?
Pretty
Pretty, it's honest.
pretty good. Well, thank you very much, Toast, for covering this. This is again Rinkai, anime about women cycling. I guess track cycling, set in sort of more like an alternate kind of setting. Uh, it is a multimedia project. They are probably trying to make a whole bunch of other kind of material and this sort of promotional for. They're probably going to make like a
Maybe
game
it's a
radius of
promotional
like
for the actual like Korean League, I guess. Apparently, it's popular in Japan. Sure.
maybe yeah,
I didn't.
maybe
I didn't
yeah.
research. I didn't do research enough on that. But yeah,
They're at least going to make a game off this. At least going to make a mobile game off this for sure. But yeah. So if you like, I guess more serious kind of setups, maybe give this a look or check it out a little bit. So thank you
uh,
very much.
w- is it the capita of racing for bicycling?
What?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You'll just have to watch and see.
All right. Well, thank you,
Hold on,
Toast.
hold on. Is it better than MF
Yeah.
Ghost?
MF Ghost.
Hot take. Do I think Rinkai is better
You
than MF
you
Ghost?
didn't like MF Ghost that much, I think, right?
MF Ghost isn't honest.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't see honesty in MF Ghost. You know what? You want hot take? This is better than MF Ghost.
I mean, I think that's a little bit of an apples to oranges comparison, especially
I'll
considering where MF
never
Ghost came
forgive
from.
what they did to Takumi in MF Ghost.
Anyways, thank you, Toast. We do have to move on. So next on the list here, we have Dark. What do you have for us?
I have a series called Tadaima Okaeri.
Yes. Okay.
Um,
So we actually did talk about this quite a bit in when it first came up in our previews, right? Because it did have
yeah,
at least the cover, the booklet cover, right, had an interesting premise written on it. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It is a
yeah.
manga original, I believe.
Yep.
Sure
Manga
is.
original, and it is being done by Studio Dean.
Being done by Dean,
if I'm-
yeah. This is
Yes.
this is a much better looker than Remonster, I will say that.
They
No
poured.
way.
They for sure poured all the money into this. The only money they gave Remaster was presumably to the K-pop people who sang the OP.
They poured all their money into this and just like wait until you hear. Wait until you hear.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess I will start this by going
Now-
through
now
my
tell us about the
experience rather
Omegaverse.
than the synopsis. I'm not going to get to that yet. I'm going to tell you about my experience first. So I went into this thinking that this was just going to be like a well, actually, I read a comment that was commenting on a later episode where they were like, "Wow, I'm glad that they managed to like resolve things with the grandparents." And the grandparents were like able to overcome like blah 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 or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. So this is gonna have like, you know, drama, the drama of like discrimination and whatnot." So then in the first episode, um, it kind of just like cold opens with them being a couple, being our two main characters of Fujiyoshi Masaki and Fujiyoshi Hiramu. And Hiramu being the taller, like cooler one, but also is like very much a softy for their son, Hikari. And then Masaki is the stay-at-home dad. So I will say what the series does pretty decently is the what do you call it? The like cuter, the parenting and the family, like the rearing parts are definitely probably the best aspect of the series. A lot of it is very cute, the character interactions with that. However, tires screech, glass shatters, record scratches. Because we get in episode 1, I got my first taste of people talking about discrimination. And they go, "Oh, wait. That's crazy. Hiramu, what do you call it? Hiramu, you're an Omega and Masaki
What?
is an Alpha. That's wild that
What?
you guys are together." And then so like there's a lot of this talk about like Alpha and Omega people. And so
What?
I was like rolling my eyes, like I immediately put it down. I'm like 5 or 10 minutes into episode 1, and that was when I DM'd you, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to make it through this.
What is that? Wait, can we go?
Yeah,
wait,
Oh,
did
don't
I
worry.
miss some-
Don't
We'll
worry.
get back to that.
Don't
We'll
worry.
get back to that.
I did a deep dive.
Yeah, near made a big discovery. So me
What?
in my beautiful naivete thought this was just like social hierarchy, right? Like highborn, lowborn type shit. Which even then, I was already like I don't know, dude. Like I don't want to sound like melodramatic, but like almost like offended that like we're at the point where it's like you have the fucking gall to make a series like about LGBT characters and you just like fucking flip it on its head and you're like, "Oh, the discrimination actually in Japan is between alphas and omegas." It's like, what a waste of fucking space. Like
can we
Fuck
I
fuck
still
your
don't get
series,
the
like,
vocab.
we'll get to
Is
it. We'll
it?
get
Is,
to
Oh,
it. We'll
we.
get to
Oh,
it.
you'll
But
get it.
but really,
is
like,
this the
what you
Marvel
need to know is
MCU?
my offense is primarily of like, I am like disgusted that you would make a series that borders on like real issues and like has people that face a real discrimination, and you're like, no, none of that, none of the real discrimination in our country. Let's do fake discrimination, actually, that is completely different, has like completely different dynamics, and is like
on.
fucking irrelevant. Like to me, like, I don't know, like to me it's just like, I was just like, I feel gross. I feel fucking gross like watching this. Like, what? Like, ew. Like, how? Like, I don't know. Just because I'm not someone who is like, oh, dude, you made a series about robots, but it's like slaves. Like, I think that kind of stuff is still valid, especially the way you like put it together, the way you can tell that story. Especially because, you
Yeah.
know, that is a different dynamic than like human slaves, right? Like any kind of slavery, like you can actually add to that and even talk about like, what do you call it? Like, what is that called? Like the synduality, like things like that. Like those sorts of
yeah,
ideas of
no,
like
more,
man
yeah.
and tech. Like you can do a lot with that, right? But like with this, it's like, fuck you. Like, this is already an issue. Like, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I was just like, I think you're an asshole. And I think this is a wasted slot of a fucking series, like a concept because of it, right? Like, I think a real series about a gay couple in Japan should take priority over something like this. And
Well, not
all of
even a
this,
priority, but it would just be a better series, right?
Oh, yeah, it'll be a better series, and we haven't even gotten to the Omegaverse yet. So now let's
Hell
get
yeah.
to the Omegaverse.
The
Hell yeah.
MCU, the
Let's get to
MCU Omegaverse.
No. Let's get to
You
the
want me to-
Omegaverse. I
Craig
will read the
yourself, Fire.
synopsis.
Do you
Oh,
want me
no,
to
I'll
read what
the
I read?
I'll read the synopsis, and Spire will get whiplash.
Okay.
So here's the synopsis
Well.
on Maul. I should have read this before watching the series.
Okay.
Masaki Fujiyoshi is a stay-at-home spouse and parent. He has fought long and hard with feelings of being a burden to his loving husband, Hiromu, due to his status as an Omega. And also, I just want to call out the Maul people for writing this. As an Omega, a secondary gender, allowing one to give birth regardless of whether if they are male
What?
or female.
Like Junior?
Oh.
like the movie
Yeah.
Junior?
And the difficulty
you
they
want a
face
diagram,
to achieve
Spire?
this domesticity.
Fire, you
But
want
yeah,
a diagram?
So their son is actually their natural born son.
There you go, Spire.
Also just throwing it out there, fuck you Maul people for putting gender there. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how is an Omega a gender? Just throwing it out there. That's not the word we use anymore, guys. Like, to woke scold the shit out of you? Like, seriously? What the fuck? But yeah, so anyway, apparently Nier, now you can go on to your part now that Spire has been hit with this. I didn't know this was a bigger thing. This is apparently a much larger concept, the Omegaverse.
So, because when
Well.
Dark was talking about this, I was like, huh, like that's really weird, right?
Yeah, it's also
so I
not
looked
necessary,
into who wrote this, right? And it seems to be
Wait,
just-
is it the same person who did the meteor thing, like from way back when, like the gay meteor?
No.
Okay.
It seems to be someone who's mostly just a BL author. They have a bunch
Okay,
of like
yeah.
one volume like short story kind of things.
Yeah,
and
because
this seems
because
to
we
be their
saw the whole bunch
first.
of couples.
Yeah, this seems to be their first main like long form series, right?
Yeah.
And I read one of the reviews for the manga on Mal, and
Oh, yeah?
they said that, like the manga is like a good entry point to Omegaverse stories. And I was like, what the fuck is the Omegaverse, right? And so my
What?
immediate assumption was that like this is like some sort of
Code?
like the Omegaverse is some sort of like world that this mangaka has sort of created, right? Boy, was I fucking wrong. So I looked this
What?
up, and one of the first things I found was a Reddit post, right? which is basically, can someone explain the Omegaverse to me? I just don't get it. And the first reply, I'm just gonna read this first couple first few sentences here.
Okay. Yeah.
Omegaverse originally started as an alternate universe in the supernatural fandom. Typically, but not always, the characters in the Omegaverse are werewolves. Sometimes they're just humans with special features. The most important thing is using debunked wolf social dynamics such as alphas and betas. And then
Yeah, keep in mind, like Supernatural is in like the show.
the show.
The show.
CW
Oh,
The
what?
show, Supernatural.
Oh, damn.
Like with
Um,
Superman, like young Superman shit.
No,
No,
that's
No,
that's not
no,
Supernatural.
like
No,
this-
Supernatural is with the what were they called? The Winchesters? Yeah.
something like that.
Oh yeah. No. Okay.
Oh yeah, the Winchesters with their cool gun. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alphas are usually larger, more dominant and aggressive, and have penises that knot, similar to canine phalluses. In some renditions, they go into ruts where they are basically completely controlled by their dicks. Men and women can be alphas, and they both can get omegas pregnant. So,
Wait, can alpha males get alpha females pregnant as well?
Yeah.
apparently, yeah.
Why wouldn't they be able to? I mean,
And
So
alpha and
everybody's able to
alpha
get-
females can impregnate alpha males. If that's what you're wondering.
So
So-
everybody
alpha
can get pregnant.
Wait,
in
how
this
could
universe.
alpha females impregnate alpha males?
They grow one.
Wait, so
Yeah,
Temporarily,
everybody.
apparently.
Yeah, that's apparently how
No,
it
but
works.
alpha males in this diagram you sent don't have ovaries.
Listen, man.
So they can't.
It's all
You're saying alpha females.
Here's the comment that
omega
really
male.
the really fucking
I'm on fanlore.org, and it
this
says
is
they
the one that
can.
really sent me into a like actual whiplash. Okay.
Split. Yeah. Okay.
So the
No,
entire
that's saying
point
female alphas. That's saying female alphas can impregnate female alphas.
yeah.
Okay.
The,
wait.
so
go
the
on, go
entire
on,
point of Omegaverse being created was to justify mpreg, male pregnancy, in fanfics. It started in the supernatural fandom specifically so the fanfic writers could have a gay ship with babies and pregnancy and breeding kink, etc.
Okay. I thought for a second, like part of why, because the link that Toast linked me for the wiki for this shit was just like, wherein some people have is a kink trope, wherein some people have a defined biological rules based on a hierarchical system. And for a split second, I was like, man, these Jordan Peterson fans really like their role play kind of thing.
So
But
it
it's apparently
basically
just the male
boils
preg.
yeah,
Yeah.
it basically just boils down to mpreg.
Oh my god.
And apparently this series is part of that fetish. It is an mpreg series.
Now,
So
hold on. Is
Damn it,
this
bro?
are they referring to this as an Omegaverse by the author, or is it from like translators or whoever localized this?
No, I mean they talk about it as alpha and omega. Like they
it's
they,
part of the
they mention
series.
it's
Oh, okay.
core to the series. That's why like I didn't know about this. I thought it was literally just like social hierarchy. But apparently not.
Yeah.
So
You were very wrong.
I guess
It's
they
just
like
male preg,
Supernatural.
So spoiler alert, I actually even before knowing this, I only made it up to through episode 3.
God damn it,
Where like none of this
bro.
really comes to light, but they keep just talking about alpha, omega. And I just like was just like done by then because I was like, this is terrible. Like this is awful.
Bro, this
Um,
is you realize I just realized this. I was like looking through the Mal reviews first, and then I immediately went back up to the Mal score. So a lot of these reviews are recommending the series, and it always starts with like, "Oh man, I am a big fan of Omegaverse stories," or like,
I'm
"This
pretty
is
sure the
so-
only
is such a-"
people I'm pretty sure the only people watching this and are like able to like digest what the fuck this series is even talking about are people that are already in this fandom.
Oh, what is going on? And this thing had a 7.37. Oh
Yep.
wow, just oh my god,
Ap-
bro, come
apparently-
on.
Apparently, according to the Omegaverse, I would be a beta because I'm a regular dude.
Oh my god, just god damn it, guys. Oh my
Hey
god.
man, you do what you want. Like as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. Like
Yeah.
I mean,
alright.
it's interesting though.
I would say that, but like again, I don't know. Like this, I there are very few series I've watched where like watching it, I'm like actually offended in a like just in respect of like it's like you got to go a long way of just being like blatantly like fucking racist or something in your series or like just like horrifically for me like the bar is kind of high, right? Like it's like I can watch. I'm not like out here being like I can't watch a single like harem series because it's fucking it's like a really just disgusting patriarchal
Bro, there's
stuff.
so
But
much
like this to me was like
what is
again,
happening?
like I said, it's just
Bro,
like
there's so much
why?
random vocab on this wiki. What is going on right now? Okay, look, like I don't know even where to start with this. I just is is there smut in this series? What's happening?
What
There's no smut in this series, right?
Okay, so I don't think so because the other thing that like really like didn't pass the vibe check was in the
Okay.
first couple minutes of this series, like what's his name? Hiromi is going to work and he gives
Okay.
Masaki a kiss like before he goes.
what kind of
And
Okay,
kiss?
yeah.
Regular?
Masaki is holding their kid, right? And so it then pans down to just the kid like reaching for Hiromi as they kiss. Like they literally like cut the kid. Like you do not get to see them kiss. And I'm like,
Okay.
vibe check failed. Like what the fuck? Like this is that like no, this series is over. This series should be burnt to the fucking ground. Whoever produced this series like is a fucking piece of shit. I don't care. Again, like there's just something that really pisses me off, especially about and this may be towing a line, but especially about a like fucking Japanese people having the gall to like make a series like this and then be like, okay, but guys, like we can't show the fellas kissing, like little too gay, like we don't want to be doing that, like,
Yeah.
and it's just like
Also,
fuck you, like
can
you
I
just
also read this? Can I also read this part of the wiki? Alpha and Omega lovers may form pair bonds, often involving mating bites. What the fuck? With a special connection with telepathic or empathetic qualities. In some works, paired alphas may be jealous and possessive of their mate, while Omega may become highly like this is literally reading as one of those descriptions of like BDSM, like basic like descriptions of
Is
that
yeah, I
shit.
mean, of
And
course,
it's
like
this isn't
it
that
is a
it's just
basically
like
fu-
you said, it's like
this
a
is
fucking
literally
supernatural fanfic. Like, of course, there's gonna be
yeah.
biting. It's gonna be like borderline like furry. Like,
Yeah, this is literally just what is it? Twilight for people who like Mpreg, I guess, or
Yep.
Mpreg. Is that the right
yeah,
word? Yeah.
what's
Okay,
Yep.
what's
male
the guy's name?
pregnancy.
Yes, sir.
Jacob impregging what's his name? Oh,
Sam.
who's the
What?
who's no, the vampire dude. What's his name?
Yeah. I know what you're talking.
oh, Edward,
Not whoever. Yeah,
Oh,
whoever's
Edward.
yeah.
And what's Anthony? Oh,
Edward.
Edward,
Okay.
yeah.
Anthony.
I don't know. I've never seen Twilight.
Tony Cullen, bro. I
Hey,
saw. Oh
Tony.
man, this is a complete aside, but the only reason why I have seen Twilight is for some fucking reason. Are like we were like acting up in high school and I want to say our math teacher, it was during our finals cuz like when you were taking like the college level courses, like your finals were just like a burst and then you get a break essentially. Um and then like if no one else finishes, like usually like they didn't like let you leave the school if everyone was done because they were like, we don't trust you to not be like literally cheating somehow and contacting each other if we're not literally able to see you. um and we were forced to watch Twilight as a punishment because we were fucking being like rowdy.
Did you like it?
No, it was terrible. We kind of like mystery science theatered it and the girls were not happy about like all of us riffing on the fucking movie. But it
Yeah,
was a
well,
funny watch. It's a very
bro,
funny, dramatic
bro fucking
watch.
sparkles in the sun. Like,
Dude,
Can
that was
I?
so
Alright.
funny. Like,
Oh my god.
that
I
was
think
fucking
I
great.
think
But
that
anyway,
series has
so
pretty much ruined that Edward Cullen, right? Is that who's the actor? Is
Yeah,
that his
Edward
name?
Cullen.
That
no,
pretty
no,
much
He's-
ruined
he's
him.
back. Bro is back. It ruined him for a
he's
very
fucking
long time.
Batman, dude. What do you
Yeah, he's
mean?
Batman now. Like, he's
Yeah.
Batman. He was in the Devil. Was a Devil Everywhere all the time.
He had
Like,
to work
he's
hard.
back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
he
yeah,
did.
he did. Like,
Respect to him.
absolutely. But yeah, so it's just like I don't
Yeah.
know. It like again, this series just kind of like gets under my skin. Yeah, because of that. Like I just don't like it. They
How's
like
can I ask about audio visuals real quick? Sorry, before
yeah, the
you go
audio
back
visuals
to
are fine. Like I said, the audio visuals are like
yeah.
very fine. They're very good. Didn't even realize it was Dean at first because of that.
Yeah, okay.
But
Oh
yeah,
my
like I said,
god.
it's like
Okay.
cozy OP, cozy ED, but it's like and the cozy moments are really nice. But the fact that it's part of like this fandom, which like honestly, like even if you like this fandom, like I'm not gonna shit on people like because of this fandom. It's the way the
Mm,
series is positioned that like pisses me off so deeply, right? Because like if
mm,
you're someone who wants to make this story or like have this story, like sure. But like this thing, like coming out of Japan, like positioning itself like this and it being part of this fandom in fucking Japan of all places, I'm like, nah. Nah. Like I'm not gonna pretend like, you know, North America is out here being like the most progressive of all time, but like god damn, dude, like Japan's pretty fucking behind on like even LGBT shit
I do
compared to
think
the
it's
fucking
wild that
States.
they would greenlight a gay lover mpreg series and then be like, but we can't show them kissing.
Yeah, we can't show them kissing, guys. That's
Yeah.
way too much.
I also
I don't know if like maybe later on in the series they show it, but like in the fucking first episode and by episode
Yeah,
3 I hadn't seen another and it's like are you fucking kidding me?
I also feel like just the general make of this series is a little bit disingenuous, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Just because, you know, as we all described, this whole Omega verse or whatever isn't exactly the most um how do I say this, all ages of genres, right? But
I'm
they're trying
fascinated by this though. This is a
they're
new
trying to
culture that I've
this
learned.
author is trying to make it seem like it's just like a regular, oh yeah, it's just as you know why part of why Dark got offended, it's just a regular, oh, series about some gay couple guys, and it's like, no,
A gay
you
couple
are
and their
this.
kid. It's like, and it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know, all of that paired up like really pisses me off because it's like there's
yeah.
definitely like so many stories to tell about this, especially in Japan. There's so many like aspects that you could cover it that would give, you know, even people overseas a way more unique perspective or like seeing a much more
Oh my
different
god,
perspective. Even with like, you know, like what are like for me, like I don't know what Japan's adoption laws are like. I don't know what their like gay couple like adoption laws are like. I can't imagine they're great considering
man.
like, you know, it's not even like the US is fucking a shining beacon.
yeah.
But it's like I want to see more of that. I want to know like I want to see what your perspective is on it. And like to go into a series like this and it's like I could name off the top of my head literally 3 series that cover issues of this, like even better than this fucking series.
Yeah.
Like you can look at fucking I said I could name it, but what was it? What was the one that I watched? Sasaki Tumino? Yeah, Sasaki Tumino.
Yes, like
Like
yes,
that
that's like
covers a little bit better of like gay relationships, a little bit more.
yeah.
Um,
Just like something that's like
fucking
fucking normal, bro.
even
Like,
fucking Skip and Loafer even like covers LGBTQ issues just with the trans aunt and
uh-huh.
like just certain like microaggressions and shit that people do around her like as she's
Mhm.
going about her day. Like even just like small shit like that, I'm like, yeah, that's like already better than whatever the fuck this series is doing.
What a-
Like I don't know.
yeah.
Like I don't like. It's just like. Because even
what it is
obviously,
like,
even
I think
BL stuff is fine for me. Like I think that's
Yeah.
fine. Like even
The
if
thing
you
is,
want to take
what
it
you're
to like
saying
a
is, if you
fetishization of like BL
yeah,
stuff,
it's like
then
if you're gonna
sure.
fetishize it, take it somewhere else. Take it to like a fetish kind of like a
Well, I mean,
smut
I
series.
even think
essentially.
like I even think doing that with like like a yaoi series, but not really tackling like issues is like fine. But to have the gall to like make it in this setting and be like, yeah, we're gonna talk about the discrimination. It's like, are you smoking fucking crack? Like, what are
Just the
you
poor
talking about?
discrimination of men that can get pregnant.
Yeah, like you're out, like you are fucking crazy. Well, I mean, hey, to be fair, these days there is discrimination against that, but not the way they're talking about it.
Yeah, and it's not quite the same.
It's like again, it's
God.
like I just hate that. I hate the idea that they're like, yeah, like we're making it in this thing where we've now just started to start discussing discrimination, but their kid is their natural born, so we can just brush that aspect of it under the fucking rug completely. It's like
Yeah.
just awful, just awful, awful, awful stuff. And it just feels disingenuous, like, and just weird. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a little
I
bit.
just like it just makes me think of like trying to do that with any other group would be just like even more like just a clear cut example of like this is like horrifically fucking gross. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
took another group of people that are already like ostracized and were like, we're gonna write like a fetishized like series about them and how they face discrimination, but
But
it's not
not
actually
because
gonna
of
be the
anything that
real
they actually face discrimination for in real life.
yeah, in real life. We're just gonna completely fantasticize it. It's like because it moves even beyond something like the what would you call it? This stupid fucking trans explanation in what was that
Oh, and
fucking Crunchyroll series?
whatever spice something. I don't fucking
Yeah,
remember
High
what it's
Guardian
called.
Spice. Yeah, because like
Yes,
at
that's
least
Oh yeah,
at least like
yeah.
when you're doing something like that, it's like you can still have like a gay couple in like or like a trans person in a fantasy series and you can have them face like you can either have them face like no discrimination and it's just fine because it's already like a fantastical setting. And where I think High Guardian Spice fails is that you can have them face like the real issues that they already that like these people tackle in real
Yeah.
life. But
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it's in a fantasy setting, but they're still, they're still tackling it, right?
Mhm.
Um and this like does neither of those two. Like this does
Yeah.
the worst of any possibility in that.
I mean, just too blinded by the fetish to actually create the proper story, right? So very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I guess. What rating
Well,
would you give it?
I'm giving this. This is getting a goose egg. This is getting a 0. This is gonna be my first 0 I've ever given.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I guess like on a technicality, like I would say like maybe like technically this series could be like because it's got decent video visuals and like redeeming
Oh yeah.
moments, like because that's the other thing too is I can't actually no I still have to give it a 0 because it's like this doesn't pass for anyone who's like not already into this weird shit to begin with. And again, like if you're not going to be able to get past that, right? Like you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
get past like this Omega verse bullshit. And it's just
No.
at
I'm
I
still
least
mean,
trying.
like whatever.
at
Like
least I
again, like I
learned a
said,
new term today,
look,
Omegaverse.
an Omegaverse thing is fine. And honestly, I mean, I wouldn't say the series would be fine if it was still set in the Omegaverse stuff because like whatever. But um, I would be less offended if they went the route of not trying to talk about discrimination.
Hmm.
Like that to me would be less of an offending like thing. And I mean that on like multiple levels of just like it just like offends my sensibilities. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're out of
Yeah.
fucking control. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be like trying to. I don't even know like a decent comparison, but it's like like when they try and tackle like racism towards like fantasy races or something.
Yeah.
It'd be like someone like doing that, but also being like, yeah, this is also set in like, the colonial United States, and the fantasy race just so happens to also be alongside black people. It's
Well, and also it's just
like
and
what are you
then
doing?
the biggest part is
Like, you can't
they
do
run
that.
the store. Well, also it would be something like just run the regular story where how in Isekai they're just like, yeah, of course, slaves are perfectly okay, or because it's like awesome to have that sort of dynamics going on. You know how some Isekais like just do
Yeah,
that kind of
it's like
casually.
you're
It's
out of
like
your
that. It's like
mind.
that's the problem with
Like,
it.
what the
That's the
fuck?
problem with it. It's like yeah, no, it's like what is it? Uh, Harem in the whatever in another world's labyrinth or whatever. It's kind of like that. How that ended up developing, right? Where it's like the guy was just like, yeah, of course I'm gonna buy the slave so I can fuck him in bed. Like, of course I gotta do that. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like don't make a
don't turn the fetish into an entire anime. Essentially.
yeah, I mean it's like again, you can have like this sort of thing, like keep that in your own shit. Don't fucking put it in like an anime series that you're like trying to say is like a child like rearing series or something, and like have like family moments and stuff. It's like, bro, no. Like, we're not here, like no one is here for that. And like I know they're not here for that. Because if they were here for that, they wouldn't have like genitalia diagrams for this fucking
Oh
Omega verse.
god.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Like this is not good.
Yeah. Anyways, enough about the Omega verse, but thank you, Doug,
So,
for yeah.
so
Go ahead.
is the movie Junior part of the Omegaverse
No,
with
No.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny
no,
DeVito? Because
no.
remember,
Fortunately, no.
Arnold Schwarzenegger drank the thing, right? And then he became pregnant. So
Oh
like,
my god. Yeah.
did it form a did he form a cloaca in there?
Is he an Omega now? But anyways, thank you, Dark, for helping
Yeah,
to
maybe
cover.
don't turn gay people into reptilians. I'm just gonna fucking throw that out there. Like,
Yeah.
maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
What if they're not reptilians? What if they're secretly chickens?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or livestock. Like,
Yeah.
maybe don't make them something other than human. How about
And
that?
also, I'm just gonna say, me reading through a few paragraphs of again that wiki on alphas, betas, and omegas or whatever. That's the most
Who
I've
are the
seen.
gammas then?
We're the sigmas, bro. But that's the most I've seen heat used as part of an English paragraph since like me looking through a Tekken 8 like trailer, you know what I mean? That those couple of paragraphs like, mention, male is going into heat or whatever so many times. I'm just like, what am I reading? Like, please get me out of here. Oh my god. But anyways, I think Dark unfortunately took potentially a bigger bullet than I did this time around. But anyways, thank you very much. This is Tadaima
Yeah, my
Okaeri.
pleasure.
This is a Omega verse story, if that word makes sense to you. Hopefully it doesn't. Disguised as a regular BL kind of story, but or LGBTQ kind of ish story. But you know, it is what it is. These things sometimes get out there. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, that was Tadaima Okaeri. And next on the line is Near. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Near. How could you top that?
Yeah.
I don't think I can, bro.
God damn it. Oh god, I have to blot out my memories after this one. Alright, what do you got here?
I think you mean you have to go fucking watch that shit later, bro.
Oh, get to the Omega verse.
Yeah, bro. That's right up your alley. You're into that Giant's Bride or whatever the fuck that shit was called that you watched.
Giants, giants, fucking humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Um
god.
yeah, I watched Blue Archive, the animation. Wow, we zip zap.
Yeah, so this also kind of, I mean, this was one of the biggest kind of, um, I don't know whether I would say blow ups, but it's like there was a bunch of hullabaloo going on recently on social media about this anime, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean Blue Archive.
Yeah.
So this is a game adaptation, obviously. Blue Archive being
It's pretty famous
one of the
for wave.
more successful and popular gacha games out there. It made it past its first 6 months of service. So in that regards, it is financially a success, right?
Yes.
It's a Yostar game, therefore it is done by Yostar Pictures.
Mhm.
And what is this
Published by
studio
Nexon, I
Candy
think?
Box? I don't know what this is, but main production Yostar Pictures, which is sort of their in-house anime studio that they founded after the what was it, like the fucking travesty that was the Azure Lane anime. And yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. Didn't Azure Lane have that spin-off anime with just the Lolly Girls or whatever, right?
I think
So
so, yeah.
something like Slow Ahead or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
In
Is
the
this
better, the
essentially the
much better
spiritual
one.
Yeah. Is this the spiritual successor of that anime here?
I guess, yeah, in a way. So
Yeah.
yeah, for those who don't know, Blue Archive is full of lollies. It's I don't think there is a single of age girl in the
Because they're all
game.
supposed to be schoolgirls, right?
Yeah, they're all supposed to be students.
Yeah,
Students, quote unquote.
Wrong.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
the quote unquote older students are all like 17.
mm.
I think there's like one like teacher or whatever, female character, but
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So I
Wow.
think you're
One
incorrect.
whoa, one adult woman? That's crazy. So the basic general synopsis is the world of Blue Archive is basically like this weird, super high-tech mega city, and within the mega city, there's a bunch of huge, big high-tech mega schools, and within those schools are students, and all the students have guns, and they shoot each other for reasons, and they're also immune to bullets, and they have halos, and hijinks ensue, and the main character in the game is you, the player, also known as Sensei, and he helps out
But how old
a.
is the player?
How old are you?
Yeah.
There you go. And he
Damn.
helps
So
out.
every sensei's at least in their 30s. Like who plays Blue Archive when they're like 12?
I don't know. I'm sure
There's
there's
probably. I'm
somebody.
sure there
Damn.
are like high school
I'm sure there's
people.
a few. I'm sure there's a few Japanese people out there that are fucking hooked on gotcha games by age 10.
Yeah.
Why is this? Why is the sensei a male? Aren't there female players of Blue Archive? This show is sexist.
I'm pretty sure in the game they I don't know. Actually, do they gender sensei in the game?
No, they just called it, I don't know whether, so at best you would have this sort of thing where it's like the dialogue would be like karewa or whatever, like they
Yeah.
kind of
I
are
don't. Yeah,
referring
I
to,
don't think
but
they gender the
I don't think there's
sensei, and
any
they
mention of that.
only.
So yeah, they literally only use the word sensei to refer to you,
Yeah.
even when they speak to other people.
I'm
So
pretty
they
sure,
keep it
like,
gender neutral.
I'm pretty sure even in Contact Collection, the Admiral was male. So
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Contact
I mean,
Collection,
typically
like
a lot
their
of these are.
view is a little bit different. But I think for Blue Archive, I don't think they have even a
they,
single line
so
where.
they literally went.
Contact Collection was also an earlier game as well. Like a lot of earlier
Yeah,
games,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially
They
Yeah, yeah.
literally
do
went the
that.
Pisan route, huh?
Yeah,
Producer is male.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, the sensei is sort of assigned to help out a group of students from the school Abydos, which is basically this rundown shithole of a school.
You're, by the way, sorry to interrupt. You're still describing the game and not the anime, right?
Well, the anime is a direct
So the next important question
adaptation.
is, how is this structured? Is this structured as sort of like Idolmaster the animation with the JC's A1 kind of thing, where, or sorry, the A1 pictures kind of thing, where they have the sensei slash whatever, the producer, blah blah blah, they have it as an actual character in the anime and it's an active role,
Yes.
or okay, so it's not like a Yuri
he's
kind of
there.
thing.
Yeah, he's there. He talks. It's not like a
He's
fucking.
not the main character.
He's
What's
not really.
okay?
So obviously in the game, everything sort of takes place from Sensei's perspective because
Yes.
Sensei is the player, right?
Yeah.
And you're playing the game. But in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
anime, it's sort of it doesn't really take any specific perspective. Although I would say I feel like Shiroko is kind of the main character in the early episodes.
Mhm.
It really kind of focuses on her. But yeah, it's not really from like Sensei's perspective in the anime. It's more from just kind of like the group of girls, and Sensei is like there. He's just like kind of part of the group.
So it's
Um,
kind of like an almost like a weird second person view, almost
yeah,
kind of
kind
thing,
of.
where it's the focus is on the girls and how they interact with each other, but the world is still structured in a way where Sensei, which will be the first kind of the main character in the game, is still part of that universe.
Yeah. So
Okay.
from what I understand, because I haven't played, because I've been playing Blue Archive the game for
Okay.
maybe like a month now. Not
Your
long.
favorite near?
Okay.
What's your favorite?
My favorite right now is Hina. I like Hina a lot. But from what I understand of the story of the game, is that Sensei is like really important. I don't know if there's like
Yeah.
timeline stuff or there's multiverse stuff
It's just
or
an idle
anything.
game, but with like the girls
But
essentially, right?
apparently the story gets really heavy. And it sort of implies that like if Sensei wasn't around, pretty much all of these girls would be dead. Um, it's kind of one
Yeah,
of
again,
those.
it's kind of like a heavier version of what happens in Idolmaster essentially, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like
like
the
where if
producer is very central.
I was
yeah,
gonna say it's more along the lines of the last master of the world, kind of.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if Sensei wasn't around, pretty much everything would go to shit. All the girls
yeah,
would be
yeah, yeah, yeah,
crying. There would be no Nakama.
yeah.
You name it. But yeah.
Suka Suka, but
So
gacha
so
game. Yeah.
obviously like if in order to like adapt the story, they can't really make Sensei not pivotal. But yeah, it's not really from his perspective, which is an interesting choice, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
how do you
something that
feel
we've
about
seen before, but yeah.
like in other series of this type, like the main character, like the main character that you represent is usually like anonymous and mysterious and doesn't talk, but this one
Yeah, there are
plays
a
an
few
actual.
examples of that, of this sort of thing happening. I think the most infamous ones are probably a Kankale, where the Kantoku didn't appear uh until way later, right? Like almost at the end for season one and stuff like that, and then it was just kind of
And I
eh,
don't think he
like
even spoke, right?
yeah, he didn't even speak. He just like patted somebody's head or something like
He just
that,
patted
and
Fubuki's
then
head.
yeah, and then I think the most famous one in my mind, that kind of changed the format and or the perspective significantly was, in my opinion, uh, it was Kohime Muso, where they literally even just removed the male character entirely and just
Yeah,
made it a Yuri series.
yeah.
So,
That shit was
how do you?
retarded.
Yeah, that was not good. How do you feel about this? Because it's sort of obvious what the point of Blue Archive, the game, is, right? It's like you are the hero. You are at the end of the day, you're macking on the girls, right? So
Platonically,
for the anime, platonically, yes, in a
legally,
very
in a legal
pure, yeah,
sense.
wholesome way, yes, in a way that will not get any of us arrested, essentially. Uh, but how do you feel about this change in structure, um, in the anime?
I think it's pretty interesting because despite this sort of perspective shift, it's a
Yes.
really faithful and straight adaptation.
Okay.
And I think the reason that this works so well is because so in a lot of you know how in a lot of really early gotcha game stories, the main character is like nothing. They're like literally
Yeah,
not
yeah,
even a
yeah, yeah,
character, right? Like
yeah.
early FGO, when you have like dialogue choices, it's like hello,
Dot.
or
Yeah,
yeah, or like
it's like the Pokemon.
ellipses,
It's like the
or
Pokemon
it's
thing.
like
Yeah.
I'm here now. Like you literally have like no personality. And then as the
Yeah.
game sort of goes on, the community sort of generates their own sort of fan like headcanon of like how the main character would act,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the developers sort of pick that up and start writing that into sort of the character interactions, right?
Mhm.
Blue Archive doesn't really do that. The sensei's pretty expressive and comedic. You know, he does a lot of jokes. Like you have a lot of like jokey dialogue options very early on, right? So I think the sensei is a bit more of a goofy character from the get-go, which I think really helps this sort of perspective shift and like
Right.
keeping like sensei from like because a lot of these they sort of have to rewrite the main character, right? Um,
Yeah.
but in this, you kind of just have to be like, oh well, you know, sensei's kind of just a goofball, right? And you just
Mhm.
kind of go from there. And I think it works pretty well. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, in terms of the main story, again, the basic setup is basically the main five girls are like in debt, and they're basically trying to save their school, and they do a bunch of odd jobs here and there. They pay off this debt stuff. They make like a discovery that you know the people that are sort of they're paying these debts to are actually like actively working against them to get the school shut down, and it's you know it sort of goes from there. Um, the story early on is pretty simple. It's a lot of like comedic stuff. There's a lot of character work, just simple character interactions and stuff. Um, again, I've heard it gets really heavy later on. I don't know how deep, um, like I don't know how far this series is going to go in terms of like how much it's going to adapt. Although I'm almost positive this is going to get like a season 2 or a second core or whatever. It's currently slated for
Yeah.
12 episodes. There's 5 out right now. They've gotten like really not very far. Um, the the episodes that are up to right now is
Well,
like
when you're saying not very far, let's say this story. God damn it. Yeah, I agree that it's at least going to get a second season, so it's a little bit hard for me to phrase this question in a simpler way. But let's say this show, like you're in the producers committee, and you know that this show is going to end uh, after 2 seasons, right? So, assuming with that assumption, what do you think would be the most probable end to season 2?
I want all I want to say is I want Saori. Tell me when she shows up. She's cool.
um I mean again, I haven't really read that much of the story so far.
Oh, the
So
original story. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Okay.
I don't really know what a good like end point would
Okay.
be. But from
Okay.
what I'm guessing, there's probably a relatively decent climax slash cliffhanger point um where they will sort of leave off either at the end of this season or
Mm.
probably at the end of next season. Because again, I really think this is like this definitely has money behind it. Blue Archive
Yeah,
is
for
fairly
sure.
popular. This is very likely getting a second season. I feel like there's probably going to be some sort of cliffhanger point where they leave off on, and effectively they're like, "Go play the game, bitch!" Right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is a marketing tool, right? This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this
yeah,
is an
yeah.
advertisement for the game.
100%.
And so that's probably what's going to happen. I think it'll be fine. But yeah, I've out of the 5 episodes that they're out right now, they're only like just now getting to like the introduction to Gehenna, which is like one of the big schools. And they're sort of like they call it like the prefecture team or whatever. And they sort of come in and stir shit around for a bit. But yeah, they're only like just now getting to that.
No.
So I think it'll be interesting. The pace is relatively slow, but I don't think it really matters too much because, again, I think a lot of the appeal of this show, I will say the show definitely feels like it's obviously geared, like a lot of the writing and character interactions, like the expanded character interactions rather, are definitely geared more towards fans, obviously, right? Like people that have played the game, read the story, because there's a bit more there. Because obviously in the game you just have like just the characters are talking back and forth in speech bubbles, right? So you obviously have to expand a bit more on scenes, and they've done a pretty good job with that. Um, there are some new scenes here and there, which is nice. But yeah, it does feel a bit more geared towards like people that have already watched it or know what's going to happen, because there's some like sort of looks that characters give that sort of indicate, there's a bit more going on behind, the jokes and stuff, which is cool, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I will say I'd say the probably closest comparison I'd say is kind of I guess ironic because it's another mobile game adaptation, but it's very similar to the Precone anime, where like it's like a lot of jokes, right? And then there's an action scene here and there because
So how yeah, so most of it's just like the characters setups and then plus I guess maybe some minor interactions with like sensei or whatever. And then plus the a little bit of plus the comedy and a little bit of action, right? I
yeah,
think um so is season 1 just going to end with mostly the character setups and then plus a little bit of the cliffhanger as you said? Essentially from the
probably.
way it's going?
I mean, I
Yeah.
see that's sort of the way it's going. Um,
Okay.
like I said, the pace is relatively slow. So I don't see
Okay.
I don't see them covering like a lot of ground in the next like 7 episodes. It's
Mhm.
possible they could truncate a shitload. But I feel like that would probably not go over well with the fans, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone wants like their favorite moment or whatever to be animated, right? So,
Yeah.
When's the
um,
railgun event gonna get animated?
yeah.
You want to go over the
Um,
audio visuals a little bit, or
yeah, audio visuals. Again, this is Yoastar Pictures. They're also doing Loser Ranger this season, so they've got their hands full. Um, previously they've been working on the Arknights anime. I don't really know if people like that or not, because I don't play Arknights anymore. But it did look pretty decent, I guess. Um, as for the audio visuals here, they're pretty good, I'd say. Um, the color palette is pretty nice. The character acting is really nice in some parts. There's a lot of um, really nice movement and stuff they do. A lot of the clothes are animated pretty well. There's definitely some pretty good talent behind this. The action scenes are decent to good. I will say the one thing I'm mainly disappointed by is the sound design in this show. A lot of the like for an anime that's about like girls shooting guns, they kind of just use like stock like sound pack gun effects, and it's pretty weak, I'd say. I kind of wanted. I know it's asking a high bar, but I want another anime that has sound design like fucking
Witcher
Fate Grand
Mercury.
Order, like Fate Grand Order's Babylonia front. That shit was crazy, dude.
Speaking
That
of
shit rocked.
speaking of sound design, you reminded me in a Seed Freedom. I believe the Wyndhams. They gave the Wyndhams the Star Wars blaster sound effect. That was weird as hell.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
there-
pretty
are
sure
there
that's
any,
a stock sound.
Are there any Halo sounds?
I
Any
don't
Halo
know.
gun sounds in there?
But yeah, like the, I think the Nonomi's fucking minigun uses like the stock like AK sound from like fucking GoldenEye. Like it's
What?
very like it's
All
very
right, I'm
like
gonna have to watch this because that
like
is.
if you watch the show, like anytime they're shooting, it's like I've heard this sound effect in like RPG Maker games. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely they downloaded like a like royalty free sound pack or some shit,
Oh my
and they just
god.
use that. The guns sound very weak.
That's
Gonna
very
take us back to
unfortunate.
fucking like edgy Flash games.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's gonna be like the Star Wars Stormtrooper stuff.
Yeah. That's probably the only disappointing thing I'd say out of the audio visuals. The OP is really nice, I'd say. It's what is this? Station no Archive. It's sung by the main cast. I'm pretty sure the main girls. It's a pretty nice song. The visuals themselves are really nice, although they're a bit seizure-inducing. They do a lot of really fast cuts. Color palette's really nice. The color palette for both the OP and the ED have this really nice. I don't know if it's like a shading thing or a digital effect that they're using, but the lighting all looks very like it's either a sunset or a sunrise. There's a lot of like god rays and stuff. It looks really nice. It's very shiny. The ED is super cute. It's got a lot of really nicely animated like first person perspective shots, which I'm assuming are from the sensei's perspective. They're pretty cute. Um, it's the ED song is Mahiro no Sora Natsuki, also sung by the main cast. It's pretty nice. Little track. It's very cute. I do kind of wish that the main show used similar colors to the OP and ED, but I'm assuming that would probably cost a lot more money.
Yeah.
But yeah, audio visuals, they're pretty good. I will say some shots are a bit flat. Sometimes the faces look a bit funny in the backgrounds, but overall it's a nice looking show. It's very colorful.
Right.
The movement's done very well. But yeah, overall pretty good showing from Yoastar Pictures.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think obviously they've been I don't know whether I'd say on the up and up necessarily because I don't know whether Yoastar Pictures because they are ultimately in house for Yoastar, the game making company.
yeah,
I don't know whether how much they're going to branch out, although they are obviously doing a lot of in between work and secondary animation work and key animation work for stuff like Chainsaw Man and other anime, right?
yeah,
But beyond that, I don't know how much they're going to be on the forefront of main animation production and being the main core staff for some more bigger anime in the future, but they've certainly been learning a lot, or they've certainly been training their staff quite a bit through all of these different, side projects as well as making OVAs and stuff for their games, like Arc Knights, I think most recently, as well as Azure Lane and stuff like that.
yeah,
I think.
I think they also handle all the like animated PVs and stuff for their games as well, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, good showing. I will say, I think the soundtrack is kind of just like
Oh.
a worse version of the game's soundtrack. Like, I don't know if they're remixed or.
So who you're saying whoever was the overall sound director plus music guy, like that duo is just like it needs to be
Yeah,
get out
I
of
think
here,
they.
see the door.
I think they dropped the ball a little bit. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say because like Blue Archives the game the game soundtrack is quite good. It's got some nice tunes. It's got some pretty upbeat.
What's the famous one? Is it Crazy Classroom or whatever? What's it called?
Yeah, I think so.
Unwelcome,
Um,
unwelcome school. It is
Oh,
unwelcome story.
That's the one that
The Penis
everyone
music
uses.
or whatever.
Yeah, I know that one because I've seen that on in the background of so many Korean like videos and stuff like that these days.
Yeah.
I can't even.
But yeah, like a lot of the tracks that you hear in the anime are kind of just like, oh, I've heard this in the game, but it doesn't sound very good here. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the mixing or what, but yeah, it is kind of just like a worse version of the game soundtrack. Not that that's like bad, but they definitely could have done better.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'd say it's pretty good. It's a pretty good showing. It's good adaptation. It's very straight adaptation, right? Which is, you know, what we've sort of come to expect from these mobile game adaptations. You know, obviously, we've seen the sort of backlash to unfaithful adaptations with stuff like, or not even necessarily unfaithful, but just like adaptations that people don't really want with stuff like Concole, right? People did not really react to,
That's
not
the
react to
second. What is it? The
positively.
second one did it better.
Yeah. So a lot of
Well,
these, obviously, these mobile game adaptations are gonna be pretty straight. I think they did a good job. They animated a lot of the bits really well. Yeah, it's good. If you liked something like Precone, I think you'll really like this, even if you don't play the game.
I think, and I also think that's this is also one of the more rare times where these sorts of like mobile games were initially made and then an anime made afterwards ended up being pretty watchable. You know what I mean? Because there's not that many anime adaptations that come out afterwards that do that successfully.
yeah, and I think it
Kind of like
helps
Hit or
that
Miss almost. Yeah.
the beginning of Blue Archive is very light. You know what I mean? Like there's really not much. Like it's not something like Fate, right, where you gotta sort of
It's more flexible. Yeah.
yeah, you're not really blasted with all this lore and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
you can kind of just
And it's not like the Demon King is going to fuck up
yeah
the fucking planet, which is I think it makes for a more. I think what happens actually because it seems kind of paradoxical, right? Because you would think that if a game has a more straightforward plot, hey, all the anime needs to do is translate that into an anime adaptation, as opposed to having a more open format, which is a little bit harder to make a story around. But I think why that paradoxical effect happens is because once that story happens in a game, it's kind of floats off into the ether, right? It becomes open ended because the game's point is not to advance the story, really. The game's point is to advance the game and make you buy more shit, right? So it
yeah
becomes open ended. Whereas the anime has to take this premise that has clearly has some sort of ending somewhere and has to just like run with it somewhere. It has to make its own pacing. It has to do all its own shit. So it's like if the game's premise starts out with "and the demon lord destroyed your home, so you have to get revenge," then suddenly the anime has this shit dropped on them, and they have to resolve it in like 12 episodes. So
yeah
it's like, oh
yeah.
fuck, yeah. So
But yeah, overall, I think it's definitely worth watching.
yeah.
You know, it's a very casual watch. Um,
Uh-huh.
so you know, if you're interested in maybe playing Blue Archive, you know,
Yeah, would you
this is
say
definitely
yeah,
something that's
would you say a person who hasn't read or experienced Blue Archive at all, like, would be okay with just watching this anime?
definitely yeah.
Okay.
It's very easy to get into for sure.
Okay.
Like I said, it doesn't set up like a huge world or anything. It kind of just introduces like the characters, like here they are. Um, you might be a bit taken aback by all the fucking animal people walking around, but that's just it's just
Yeah.
something that the game never
Animal
really
years, bro. Let's
yeah
go.
the game never
Yeah.
really explains that why there's just like straight up fucking dog people. But
The
they're
answer is because Nekomimi or and
They make the
Inumimi
best
are cute.
ramen, dog.
yeah
Yeah.
true. Um,
Yeah, that's
but yeah, there's some stuff that you might like I guess raise an eyebrow at, but it's like it's one of those things where don't worry about it.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, if you like something like Precone, I think this is definitely up your alley. If you like, even just like girls in a club stuff, right? I think this probably a pretty good watch.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's fun. It's got cute girls. Yeah.
What would
What
you
more?
rate it?
What more do you need? Um, I'd probably give it. I'd give it a strong 7, 7.5. Yeah, probably.
Simplify. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that
pretty good.
before or after Saori shows up?
Um, well, the one I want to see is Hina, so
So
Mhm.
before.
she should show up. She should show up soon. But yeah, it's good.
All right.
I like it.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. I know again this was a thing that mm, kind of came up, right? And people were, I think I at least was having a lot of thoughts on whether it would end up being okay or not, but I'm glad that it did end up being pretty good. Obviously, nobody is out here wishing that anime will just fail and suck or whatever, right? But it is good that it came out um, much
Yeah, I
better
mean
than
these
expected,
these
I would
mobile
say.
game adaptations can always flop, right? I mean
Yeah,
we've
yeah, yeah.
seen like how many like just game adaptations in general just be
Yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah, yeah.
like what the game is. I mean just look back at fucking God Eater, right? Like
Yeah.
God Eater, the God Eater adaptation had pretty much everything going for it. Like that was by Ufotable
Yeah.
too, wasn't it? Um,
Yeah. And there was
and
also that one, I think, Tact Opus that had a shit ton of
yeah,
money, right? It
yeah.
was being sponsored by Banco. I think that one might have had youth table, or at
It
least it
was
had one of like the Madhouse
it was
plus
like
Trigger.
Madhouse and Mappa,
Yeah,
like
Madhouse
double
and Mappa,
team,
or
right?
like Mappa Trigger, some ridiculous fucking
Yeah, it was some
collaboration.
crazy
Yeah,
shit, and that
yeah,
game shut down. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
yeah,
very unfortunate. Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, Nier. Again, we're both fans of Blue Archive, and for people who are might be more curious about Blue Archive, but don't necessarily want to end up downloading the game and accidentally chucking in $500 into it. You might be more amenable to checking out this anime, Blue Archive. So if you do have the time, please do check this out. Note that again, it might be a little bit slightly different structure than you might expect because again, it doesn't have the sensei, the male self-insert main character, as the focus. It has the girls as the focus. So please do make note of that. Finally, I am taking another bullet after my last stint last week with Monster. I am covering Viral Hit. Let me pull
wow.
up my notes real quick. It is also known as, yeah, so in Korean it's known as Saumtokak, or also known in Japanese as Kenka Dokukak. So this is a Korean webtoon available online on Naver Webtoons. Naver is like one of the major internet-based companies, I guess, site-based companies in Korea. It's like Yahoo, but if they didn't fuck up their marketing, essentially. Um, the story by Park Tae-jun and art by Kim Jong-yeon. Originally, the this webtoon got made into an anime, obviously, else we wouldn't be covering it. The main animation production, and I think the one that's doing bulk of the work, is Okuro Noboru, who has recently been doing, I think the most recent one they did was Studio Apartment Good Lighting Angel Included, also known as Tenshitsuki for short. As well as I think one of their other ones was the hidden dungeon only I can enter, which I think Toast might have covered. I forget,
Yeah,
but
that was me.
yeah. Um, so the staff is mainly Hishida Masakazu, who did stuff like he's done a lot of. He's pretty prolific, but he's done a lot of idol stuff for one reason or another. He did ensemble stars or idol stuff and like that sort of type. So Ensemble Stars, King of Prism, Pretty Rhythm. He headed the 2009 version of Yatterman movie. He did the second season of Yashahime, which is, as you guys know, the sequel to Inuyasha. And he also did more recently, My Instant Death Ability is So Overpowered, So this director, Hishida Masakazu, sort of cobbled up some connections that he made in while he was um, doing a more secondary role. I think he was doing like key animation role or whatever. And Johanna Helian, he kind of cobbled up some people there, as well as from ensemble stars. And then he kind of collected some people from inside and outside of Okulto Noboru, sometimes using his connections where he worked on like Villain Saga and stuff like that. So you'll see people like from Johanna the Parhelion, such as Ono Toshiya, who worked on 86, both seasons, the later arcs of Blue Exorcist, Gotchaman Crowds, Land of the Lustrous, Level 1 Demon, 1 Hero, Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Promise Neverland, Shadow House. Like, this guy is a very good storyboard script composition guy here. Music, Yamada Yutaka, he did stuff like Tokyo Ghoul, Vinland Saga, Tokyo Revengers, Don't Waro. And the other guys like chief animation director and art director and sound director. A lot of these guys are again from a little bit inside Occult Noboru, or sometimes again a little bit of Vinland Saga people. So pretty good crew all around, I would say, for the most part. Although it is a little bit, I think for the most part, they are kind of trusting on Ono Tosha to translate the original material properly, because I think a lot of the other guys had kind of have um, interesting experience in different genres that are not as adjacent to this one. Quickly going over the voice acting staff, they note that they did all change the characters' names to Japanese, the Japanese version of this for some reason or
Why?
another.
They did that for
But
Solo Leveling too, didn't they?
yeah,
They
they
did?
keep doing this. But the subs
Damn.
have the English or it's not the English names, the Korean names for them. So it is a little bit interesting. So most of the voice acting cast is very like known. Um, very known, just like full of like main people, A-listers, stuff like that. Near S-listers, I think currently the flavor of the month people these days, right? So the only exception I would say is the main character actually, Hobin Yu, also known as who is it? Uh, God damn it, let me read this. Oh yeah, Shimura Kota uh in the Japanese version, who so Neo Satoshi is not a newcomer per se. He's been in the industry for at least a couple of years, but he hasn't had a real breakout role before this. He hasn't had like real proper main role, or even close to like a main casting role. He did Harao in Hulk, which is one of the, I guess, supporting cast members. He's like one of the people who kind of started off uh, kind of antagonistic against Hulk in the in media res part of it. But beyond that, he hasn't had a real breakout role, so this is his like first main role. Other than that, pretty much all the other characters are voiced by, I would say, A-listers at least. So you have Okamoto Nobuhiko, you have Ishikawa Yui, you have Fire's Eye, you have Ishikawa Kaito, Takeuchi Shunsuke, Sugita Tomokazu, Aoyama Yoshino, if you don't know, did Bochi for Bochi the Rock, Nakamura Yuichi, stuff like that. So, all veterans down the road here, all people that, any voice, any Seiyu kind of otaku should know.
Never heard of them.
Who are these stupid people? Yeah. Opening theme, Wild Boy by Massive the Rampage. By the way, the S's in Massive are spelled with fives, so
Wow,
that's how you know it's
that's
cool.
fucking metal.
Yeah. So this is more standard sort of initial rap with strong beats that kind of fades back into I want to say a mix of electro hop and a little bit of K-pop as per the sort of Korean webtoon vibes. This probably, in my opinion, what Remonster's opening wanted to be, but failed. So it is what it is. I do obviously like it a little bit more than Remonster. I don't know whether I would call it the best OP of the year, but it certainly fits a little bit better. And the ending theme is Viral Hack by Crab Cunny Club. This is a known sort of alternative rock band, J rock band in Japan, and they have, again, as per their general typing, they have a pretty standard Japanese alt rock style. Uh, this sort of stuff is slightly uncommon, I would say, in terms of ED usage. But it does work pretty decently here. So I do like it quite a bit. I've always been a sucker a little bit more for stuff like alternative rock, cheesy stuff like alternative rock more than stuff like progressive rock. But it is what it is. Visuals really quick. They do have in the anime good characteristic designs that are similar to the original art. That's not like too watered down. For instance, um, so the characteristic part is important because there's like a lot of extreme kind of distorted feeling kind of thing. Imagine something like some older manga, right? For instance, stuff like I would say something like Akunohana, right? Not the anime, but like the actual manga, where they make these sort of like distorted faces and stuff like that to emphasize feelings, emphasize the emotions. There's a lot of that going on. There's a decent amount of good fluid animation during most scenes that involve action and emotions. So there is a lot of money going to this, and the animations are pretty fluid, which is nice. I'll say the OST is mostly nondescript. It's a lot of just standard rap stuff for a lot of the parts that's just like um wannabe, boxing style build-ups and fighting style build-ups. Yeah, like, whoa, I'm gonna fucking like we gotta put the pedal to the metal kind of, bullshit. So it's pretty nondescript. So yeah, that's it for audio visuals and staff. Going straight into the story real quick here. Um the story is just so uh the main character, Yu Hobin, is just a loser. He's constantly getting bullied by bullies at his school who also run like a YouTube channel. They call it YouTube in the story, but it's YouTube. Um, so he gets bullied by these people who also run a YouTube channel where they stream videos of him getting bullied, essentially. His mother is sick and dying of cancer, and um, he's trying to pay off her hospital bills by working all the time and struggling, and it's all going bad for him. And eventually, he fucks up, messes up against one of the bullies that are bullying him. They get into a fight. The fight accidentally gets streamed and recorded, and that recorded video goes online, and he that video becomes a viral hit. It gets millions of views, and he ends up earning like $10,000, um, essentially on YouTube because of that.
Wait, how does he get the money if was he the one streaming it?
So they made essentially the video. I think the camera was streaming from the bullies thing, but then they ended up making like the channel around essentially him, is how the setup went
Uh-huh.
afterwards.
Okay.
So he got the video. It became a viral hit. He won the X amount of money, and he uh tries to he tries he because of that fight, the guy that was bullying him also becomes an outcast because it doesn't look good to be brawling with one of the losers from his school, right? And the guy he was fighting with is actually like a cameraman who can help him do like editing and content creating and stuff like that. So he teams up with this guy. He ends up making um he uses this opportunity, both the cameraman guy and the main character who's the loser tries to milk this opportunity to um sort of fuck with the main guy who's been bullying the main character. And hijinks ensue, he the main guy gets beat up, but in exchange he reveals to the world at large how much of a bully, how violent the actual bully is, right? Because he managed to capture that on film as well, and resulting kind of like fighting and more viral hit videos and stuff like YouTube related stuff. Scandals happen because the bully, uh, once it got revealed that he was, doing domestic or not domestic violence, but school violence against the main character, he got blown up because of the scandal and stuff like that. So hijinks ensue, that sort of stuff happens. More YouTube and content creation, sort of trivia, blah 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 happens. But at the same time, um, he his because the main character's content videos are all about fighting and getting duked in the face. Uh, he and his cameraman eventually end up kind of wandering around trying to both accidentally getting into situations where he's streaming himself fighting or getting blown up slash getting beat up, or um he tries to find opportunities where he's able to stream himself fighting or getting beaten up, essentially. So he's trying to make this whole fighting slash
So
getting
basically,
beat up
his
thing.
channel is bum fights.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Whether accidental or whether it's set up.
Uh-huh.
And along the way, he also starts to learn a little bit more and more about how to actually fight without, getting just fucked up uh, uh, by watching some like YouTube instructional online videos from this mysterious channel. Um, Essentially, he's watching like eHow videos, right, of how to fight, and he uses that for advice to grow better and better at fighting, and that syncs along with his content creation, which is again, as you said, bum fights, and then the rest of the cast kind of builds along that. So there's like a lot of things that the uh webtoon tries to juggle. It does have a decent amount of surface level trivia about creating content and like ad revenue and like how YouTube influencers do things and stuff like that. Um, which is part of that experience obviously comes from all of the bandwagoning and YouTube content creation, stuff like that, that the younger demographic has done both worldwide and in Korea as well. So that's sort of that sort of trivia. It does also try to touch upon the subject of sort of this momentary fame and how it affects people. Right? Again, this is a little bit more in a caricaturistic way, similar to how the visuals line up. There's a decent amount of action scenes, like fighting scenes and stuff like that. It's not full ippo or anything like that, but there's a decent amount of slowdowns and some of the fighting related trivia, like how to weave, like where should you be, how should you respond to this sort of problem when somebody's trying to swing at you, stuff like that. Again, a lot of that's not like super detailed or whatever, like nerd level, but it is a decent amount of trivia that's put in. So there's like a lot of things going on, but a lot of I would say the two major things that are in focus are A, the action scenes, and B, the sort of usual classist, oh, I was born with these circumstances or I was put into these circumstances and I'm just a loser and I don't deserve to be around people like you. This like pretty girl is talking to me, but I'm just a loser and she's essentially the queen bee and I can't, why should she be around me? Why do I have the right to ask her out when she has like a cool guy friend over there or whatever? That sort of like standard jealousy thing, right? That's not uncommon in a lot of these sorts of stories, right? We've
Yeah.
seen that in stuff like, you know, a lot of places that have these sorts of like introvert MCs. Um, Even if it's not necessarily fully introvert, maybe something like Excel World, right? Will
Yeah.
be a very prime example of that. So a lot of that sort of happens. Um, so those two are the main sort of two focuses of the story. Uh, I would say overall, my thought is this setup in terms of the main character making the video and then the cast kind of growing around him. And again, because the idea is about jealousy, about, better people, about, oh, I want to grow a little bit, but I know I'll always suck and I don't know how to deal with this uh with people that are necessarily better than me, but like I'm kind of jealous, blah blah blah. Like I want to mac on this pretty girl, but then I'm just a loser, stuff like that. Because a lot of this is like interpersonal relationships. Um, the setup is okay for that, but I think the cast's general personalities are a little bit too cheesy compared to this more mundane setup. Because what it is uh ultimately, yeah, you have the whole they're duking it out of school and they're earning tens of thousands of dollars on YouTube and blah blah blah. But it ultimately boils down to school slash society kind of school life, right? Regular kind of slice of life kind of thing. Plus, uh, talking about YouTube or like fame or like jealousy. That's more or less that's relatively mundane, right? And I think for that, it's very important to have a little bit more middle of the line personalities, right? Like characters that will go, okay, well, this much is okay, but that's a little bit too extreme kind of thing, because that aligns with the more real life themes that these sorts of stories have. But a lot of these characters are very much one dimensional caricatures, like, I'm cool, or like, wow, I'm just a loser, but dot 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 kind of thing, which is I think a little bit too green eggs and ham for me. A little bit too self-promoting.
Is this more of a serious series or
Mm, What do you mean by a serious series? I want to.
like because when you say like the characters' personalities are like cheesy, right? Like is that
Yeah.
something that like you think it is intentionally being played up for comedic effect, or is it just like that?
No, it's not really being played up for comedic effect. It's to shoved the themes as obviously as possible in the viewer's face, in my opinion, if that makes sense.
Right.
Where it's like,
Where
yeah,
they're all
this.
like playing it up for the camera or whatever.
Well, no, not even. It's like, how I just mentioned the theme about, like jealousy and how I'll never be good enough
Sure.
to match her, stuff like that. That's very like it's set in contrast to a T. It's not even like the characters just going, maybe I'm just being a little bit too like whack about this or whatever. That would be a little bit more of an organic development, right? A little bit of like worry. It's just like, no, I'm a loser. I'll never be able to get to her. And the whole like obviously delusions about her being with like a cooler, richer guy or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's very these sorts of pushing the themes onto the viewer is very obvious.
So you think it's more
And
of like a melodrama thing then?
yes, melodrama I think is the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
Um, and I think uh, this also syncs up with the next syncs up in not a good way with what I kind of want to say next, which is in real life with these sorts of settings, right? What would happen is very standard, right? It's like they might have a little bit of their own like interpersonal dramas, but then they would just run their YouTube channels for X number of years and then fuck off, right? Or do whatever or fade away. That's essentially what happens to YouTube channel people,
Yeah.
right? Or somebody ends up in jail for punching somebody, or that's what would happen in real life.
Yeah.
Which is not really it's more of like a passing of time, right? It's not a conclusion, although there are endings to some of those, but it's not a conclusion. It's just passing of the generations, right? And I would say probably the closest that's come to, closest an anime or a manga that has come to that sort of just passing of time is I would say K-On, right? Because it has like they just graduate and then the next kind of stuff comes in, the next generation comes in the manga. or I would say it's something like Seitokai no Ichisan, where it never really gets like the harem ending or whatever, and just kind of moves on to the next generation. Right?
Passing of generations? I think you mean Gurren Lagann, dude.
Yeah, that is
Hello.
true. Viral, please. But it's just unlike real life, when you have a story based around even these mundane setups, you can't just make a story with these fictional characters and then they just make you write 50 chapters about them running their YouTube channels for a couple of years and then fucking off, right? The story has to A, resolve, B, resolve in a climactic slash satisfying way, or in a way that'll satisfy the intellectual side or the emotional side of the reader, right? Somehow. And C, it has to resolve in a relatively novel and or unique way, or provide interesting developments along the way to a somewhat more standard ending, right? I don't think the story is really doing any of these by setting up a pretty standard, like, oh, I'll never be good enough story, like jealousy kind of related story, alongside a more kind of surface level version of writing about, momentary kind of flash in the pan of fame, with a little bit, a sprinkle of main loser guy gets main hot girl romance, right? Main prom queen girl romance. So I just and I read a little bit of the wiki summary, reading ahead, quote unquote. Um, and it kind of seems like a lot of the readers agree with me. In the latter half, apparently, of the viral hit manga before it wrapped up, there are a lot of problems that readers have pointed out, a lot of complaints. But I don't think it was like a sudden change of heart in the second half. In my opinion, it's just the core problems, the root problems of the series that naturally led to the second half being more crappy. I just don't think this is an avoidable aspect of the series. It's just rotten at the core. Um, not. I want to be a little bit clear though. When I say rotten at the core, I don't mean it's just like irredeemably terrible. It's just I don't think that this would. I don't think that this premise is set up and the way it's kind of unfolding has the promise of becoming a series where it will give me the sort of catharsis I will need and or expect, if that makes sense. So I do think that the reason why this became popular is part of this is the whole like Korean manga and like webtoons bandwagon, of course. But a lot of it's also what I discussed before, right? It's the increasing appetite for stuff that has socioeconomic or sociocultural commentary, especially of this sort of kind where it's like, why is God doing this to me, essentially, right? The almost like story of Job kind of thing. Um, where it's like all this shit is happening to me. Can I ever, um, strike it rich? Like do something that like get to a place where I'm like, truly like happy, right? Is everything gonna fuck me up? Am I never gonna end up with a girl? Am I actually going to be able to get some goals down, right? And again, I think on a very, very, very light surface level, um, this series might scratch the itch very temporarily, but I just don't see any hope for this story resolving or like doing character development in a way where I'd be like, yeah, I didn't expect this. And this seems like a very human, organic, interesting thing to happen in a story about rom com and like a loser guy gets fame and about, how he has to deal with his lack of self esteem. Um, I just don't think the author has created a novel story for that. And so I just don't think that this story, as okay as the setting is, I can't really recommend the series to watch because it's just not worth it. Nothing in it is really that novel. none of the character developments seem very novel so far. And the character setups are the character not like the overall premise, but the character personality setups are just too cheesy for me to really believe in any proper character development and interpersonal interaction and follow through, other than, yeah, the prom queen is a nice girl and really does believe in the loser guy because the loser guy really does work hard. Like, come on,
True.
guys. This is not like a fifth grade like story writing time, okay? I'm not. I can't recommend that sort of stuff. So, that's sort of all I really have to say about the story. I just can't really recommend it, despite it, I think, having okay groundwork. I will not say that it has good groundwork. Like I think Windbreaker had better groundwork than this one, but I just can't recommend the series. It's just not novel enough. So, that's all I really have to say. I would say Mal rating. I will give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think I can afford to give it even an average rating, just despite it having okay audio visuals, because uh, longtime viewers of the podcast and listeners of the podcast will know I do have a significant amount of my rating based upon sort of a novelty factor, a proper novelty factor, not just like just some out of out of left field premise that just kind of sinks in the first 2 episodes, but like a properly novel premise and setup and organic development that actually goes somewhere and goes in a direction that I haven't seen in another anime or in another story, right? Um, and I don't think it provides that sort of novelty factor. So ultimately, it will have to be below average because at the end of the day, I can just watch another similar anime for this, or I can read another similar manga. I don't need to read Viral Hit to get this sort of
I think
character
you're asking
development.
for a bit much there, buddy.
Yeah, it's like it's like, are you not satisfied with loser guy gets awesome hot girl, sir? Like
That
you
sounds
gotta watch
fucking
this.
epic, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I've watched enough Excel World to know where this is going, so I apologize. But yeah, that's sort of all I had to say about Viral Hit. Unfortunately, again, I can't recommend it. I will probably give it a below average grade. Um, it is a Korean manhwa slash webtoon original about dudes fighting and a loser guy becoming, getting a popular YouTube channel and duking out people along the way. So I guess if you like that sort of stuff, I guess give it a watch. But I honestly wouldn't watch it to be honest. So so yeah, that is it for my review as well as all the reviews for today. We're going to move on to our news segment really quickly. And we don't really have too much news because, it's only been a week. So,
Hey man, a lot can
uh,
happen in a week.
yeah, that is true. I forget there was this 1 2 week span, right? Where we just had every like company reorg and like people getting awards and people dying news in like the span of
Yeah.
2 weeks, and it was just
I feel like stuff like
ridiculous.
that always happens at like either the beginning or the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just like a bunch
Oh,
of
I
news
think
comes
I
out
think
where
it was the
people
two
are
weeks
dying.
where yeah, it was like Toriyama died, and on top of that, like a bunch of other stuff happened. It
Yeah.
was ridiculous. Yeah, very unfortunate. But anyways, just like two pieces of news, both are company related. One, God, I need to highlight fucking. God damn. All right, the first piece of news: the AI localization company Orange Incorporated announced on Monday that it will release an e-bookstore service titled Imaki, which will launch in the United States this summer. The service will feature works translated using Orange Ink's technology and will also include recommendations, curations by manga influencers, and manga trailers. Yeah,
Manga
manga influencers.
influencers.
This is where we are in the
Wow.
timeline right now, Nier.
Welcome to
This is where
fucking
we are.
hell, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Imaki will both be a website and an app, with the former launching first in summer. Orange Inc. also has added that it has received 2.92 billion yen, which is around 19.1 million US dollars in funding for companies such as Shugaka, Globus Capital Partners, Honori, SBI Investment, GIC Venture Growth Investments, Miyako Capital, Chiba Dojo Fund, Mizuho Capital, Mitsubishi UFJ Capital, and GFR Fund. The company plans to use the money to quote unquote increase the pace of manga localization currently done in Japan, roughly fivefold to 500 titles per month.
It's over.
I can't wait for this to single-handedly like massively boost piracy.
Yeah, the company uses AI
'Cause,
technology to do the base translation. Native translators and editors then correct the translation and finalize the work. The
yeah,
problem,
doubt. Big doubt. Also, because if they
Yeah.
were doing that, then there is literally zero reason to use AI to translate. Like, there's no reason
Yeah.
to do that. Because like, what is this? Like, what are you editing? Like, if
What
the
I
AI,
what I
if the AI is
also
saving you time, then you would be translating this devoid of all context.
what
Like
I- what
that
also
statement
pisses
is
me off.
completely contradictory.
What also pisses me off is like about all this like this AI translation and people being like, bro, but just fucking AI it up. Is like the whole translations work and whatever aside, it's like I personally have always wanted a proper translation technology, right? I've literally been one of those people who, after watching or reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that like the babble fish, right? Where they like
Yeah.
put the fish in their ears and you can hear all the other languages perfectly. I've always been somebody, even as a kid, who said, okay, I wish that was a thing. Like, even as I've been translating other stuff, I've been like, I wish that was a thing. That would be cool. But right now, this AI technology is not that good. In fact, it's pretty crappy still. But the fact that people are like, oh yeah, this is perfectly okay, and just is pushing it not just on a kind of amateur experimental level,
I mean,
but literally as
even outside of like the translation aspect of the technology, like
yeah,
this shit will spew out fucking garbled like nonsense
yeah,
without even trying to translate anything. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
so
And the fact that now this is clearly gonna be used as like a service that like the makers will expect people to pay for is absurd. It's like
yeah.
saying we
Yeah,
just
that's what I
have
mean.
this
That's why I'm
experimental
like,
drug. You guys better pay $50 for it. It's like no,
I
fuck you.
feel honestly kind of confident that this is going to single-handedly like have people look more into pirating manga because they're
Yeah,
gonna see this and
yeah,
they're just gonna be like, no, like why would I'm gonna pay for
yeah,
AI? Are you smoking crack? Like
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
fucking because like I think these companies are very stupid and they don't realize that you may be getting money from these dumbass like people who are even dumber like fucking tech investors and like tech venture capitalists, but
yeah. It's like the same thing with
I
NFTs,
think people
cryptos.
are
Yeah,
very much like it is a much smaller market for people who are like looking at AI and being like, yeah, I would pay for something made with AI. I
yeah,
think a lot of the novelty of AI comes out of people being like, I did this with AI. I did X, Y, and Z with AI. And just like kind of like shitting out things for fun. I think
yeah,
that's why you do see blowups once people try and like use it seriously and everyone's like, no.
Yeah, and like a
Like,
commercial product.
yeah, it's like that's
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
stupid. I look forward to seeing this spit out a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of garbage, and blow up in their faces. Um, because again, I think that statement is inherently contradictory. To say that you have translators and editors and shit
I mean,
looking at this, like that doesn't
they
make
don't
any
have
sense.
translators. They have people that know like they have like ESL people being like, "Huh, yeah, this I can read this. I can read this sentence without wanting to blow my brains out."
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's
Yeah,
like it's not like you don't actually have editors. Like
Yeah.
there's no edit
yeah,
like that that's not like how you edit something. Like to edit something, you need to know the context of it. And if you have to know the context of what's happening in the manga, then you may as well fucking translate it because like you're already spending that amount of time. Like so obviously the editing is not real.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. But yeah, we'll there will be more of these companies proliferating, but we'll see what happens when the bubble hits or when the bubble pops rather. Yeah. Anyways, the only other piece of news is that Kadokawa announced on Tuesday that it is establishing a new animation production studio called Bellnox Films this month, and the studio will formally start its operations on July 1st. Kachita Koji, a former head of Gonzo and a founder and former president of David Production, is
Wow.
serving as the representative director and president of Bellnox Films. The new production studio aims to incorporate a quote unquote new production style and involve the industry via a new system that is not limited by job titles or fields traditionally.
What
The
does that
problem
even
is,
fucking mean?
I
AI.
feel like I recently read an article about how some companies, like at the retail level, right, were doing white collar style fraud by putting all these like undocumented workers and like minimal wage workers into managerial roles, and so they don't have to
Based.
yeah, so they don't have to pay them like overtime and stuff like that,
Holy
right? With
fuck,
these
dude.
sorts of things. I feel like this is a new way to phrase that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, oh,
Yeah. Oh, we don't
you
have
are the
titles or roles here, man.
yeah. By the way, you're getting paid like
By the way, you're
$1
responsible
per
for
hour.
how all of this operates.
Listen, man,
Yeah, for $1.
we don't have a
Yeah.
One
higher
yen
we
per
don't have
hour.
a hierarchy here. And then it's like we
Yeah,
also coincidentally don't have pay raises.
yeah, or overtime pay. By the way, it's like you are the creative czar, and as the czar, you aren't really getting paid. You are just the master of your own office.
It's all
You
about
will.
the art form, dude. It's not about the
Yeah.
pay, okay?
Kajita stated that he wants to work towards making the animation production industry more systematic and rational, allowing it to grow flexible. What does this even mean? You're just like, I'm going to make a new production style, but also it'll be more systematic and rational, allowing it to grow flexible. I don't know what
That's like
you're just
I mean
saying
that
buzzwords.
again more
That's
more
investor. That's
contradictions because like
investor
what
talk right
is
there,
Yeah.
brother.
yeah, what is going to be simultaneously systematic and rational? Like the
But
industry is
also
already
new production
fucking
style. Yeah.
extremely systematic and
Yeah.
extremely rational in and of that sense. It's
Yeah,
just not
exactly.
working.
Yeah, it's just not good for the bottom line or the
Yeah,
bottom
well, I
grassroots
mean, it
people.
works for the bottom line, but
Yeah,
it's
just
kind
not
of
for the actual artists.
blowing itself up. Like that's the
Yeah.
problem. Not
With this
sustainable.
aim, yeah. With this aim, Bellnox's films is focused on quote unquote creating beneficial works. I don't know even know what that means either. What is any of that? So stupid.
We're all
He's
about
like,
creating good vibes, bro.
yeah,
They're
chill
only going to
vibes.
they're only going to be animating those like truth commercials, the anti-vaping commercials.
Yeah, exactly. It's the anti-vaping commercials, but you can see one of the A1 people just jumping out of the window, like in the background. But Bellnox Films is Kodako's fifth animation studio after the subsidiaries Engi, Studio Kadan, and Raging Bull, as well as the affiliated company Kinema Citrus. So obviously you guys might know some of these, especially Engi and Kinema Citrus, which have done a decent amount of work in some anime seasons, a while ago at least. I mean, obviously they are hiring some well-known people. Katsuka, Katsuta Koji is nothing to sneeze at, right? But first, um, as we keep mentioning, this sort of in-house studio creation and this just like Kadokawa and Shogakukan and like other sort of publishers and stuff like that going, hey, how about fuck you, exterior studios? How about we just make our own in-house studios and just suck all your people in? I don't think that's a good trend at all for very obvious reasons, because then once they hold all the power, then people just get fucked left, right, and center. But on top of that, this whole investor speech, right? This new production style that's also
it's
making
very,
the interesting. It's
it's
very
very
worrying.
please give me money type speech.
Yeah, it's very please give me money, and it's also a cover for again. I think the whole not limited by job titles or fields of traditional animation production.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's also going to fuck up some people's careers down the road, just because he's going to. This guy's just going to make some bullshit fucking ass job titles, and people are going to try to put it on the resume, and then the next studio is just going to be like, what the fuck is like
Yeah.
what are these jobs, what did you even do there?
Good
And they're just
vibes,
gonna get
man.
scared.
Good vibes.
Yeah, I was the vaping minister in Velux films, but you know, it's worrying. I think it is definitely worrying, so we'll see how it goes though. But yeah, that is the last piece of news here. And we are going to go on to our next, or our last segment, rather, our shout outs and call outs. Everybody here gets one shout out and one call out each. Shout out is one thing, 5 out of 5. Any person, place, or thing. And call out 0 out of 5. Rant, rage about any person, any one person, place, or thing. And we start off now with Toast.
Hello,
What
it
is
is
your
me.
shout out, call out?
I'm gonna shout out Seed Freedom. Pretty good movie.
Nice.
Pretty good movie. The sea, they look like sea characters, and everyone has lipstick. Because I don't know, it's is it 2 years after Destiny? So I guess they're older now. But the mobile suits look good. I like their designs. Except Rising Freedom. Too much blue.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Call out?
Uh, Argon poisoning.
Arsenic, I think.
No,
Argon?
argon.
The gas?
Okay. The gas?
Argon gas
Can you get
poisoning. Yes.
poisoned by argon?
Yes.
I mean, I guess you
Okay.
can. Damn.
Okay.
Okay. Sure. And then thank you, Toast, for shout out call out. Then what about you, dear? Shout out call out, please.
Call outs to the fucking amount of money I spent in Match Soul. That was such a fucking stupid idea.
Okay.
But
Is there
fuck it, we ball.
more or less than Shadowverse?
I don't want to think about the amount of money I've spent in Shadowverse. Okay.
Hell yeah.
At least you spent it over a period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, but that game's shutting down now, so you know. Well,
It is?
I mean,
Well,
it's not shutting
you're getting
down.
Shadowverse
It's,
too, right?
yeah, it's like
I think you said yeah.
it's like sunsetting or whatever. But
yeah.
yeah. The shutouts, I don't fucking know, man.
Everything sucks.
Everything sucks and nothing is good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shoutouts to I guess shoutouts to my luck in Nikkei recently. I've pulled I pulled Crown, the new SSR.
Who's your favorite
Um,
Nikkei again?
My favorite Nikkei? I mean, my favorite Nikkei right now are like Blanc and Noir. They kind of have been for a while. So, you know, I kind of rate them evenly. 'Cause they're twins. But yeah. My luck recently has been pretty good. I rolled the Crown, which is the new like top tier godlike support SSR 3 times now. So good dupes, I guess. I'll probably uncap her soon. And potentially spend even more money in gacha games to get her costume. which is probably a bad idea, but fuck it, we ball, right? So, yeah.
And then Kala, I think.
I did mine.
Oh yeah, sorry. Dark, what about you? Shout out Kala.
I guess you know, shout out to fucking I'm a shout out to Giuna, you know. Shout out to Giuna for reiterating on the topic of importance that was not covered nearly enough of how absolutely ass the Street Fighter 6 soundtrack is. Like I'm glad he
It's
posted about that again because like
fucking sucks.
Akuma's fucking theme is so fucking boring and just like awful.
It's just not good.
And like and yeah, and I replied on that and I was like as someone who hates most if not all of Strive's OST, I don't think anything in that game compares to how ass the Street Fighter 6 character select track is. And yeah, he hit me back with I've been a failure, I've been a success. Oh, those
God,
fucking
I
bars,
just-
dude. It's so bad.
I just hate
I
listening
haven't
to,
booted that
like,
game
there's
up in a
the rap.
while.
Oh, God.
And he pointed out it was that in this video, it was about the fact that like it's time to bully Capcom to finally add like the jukebox to the game. I did not know that because I thought when I started seeing like when I was getting the songs and shit, and I started seeing that, and they said on Twitter, "Oh yeah, we're gonna add that." I thought that would have been in the game by now, but it's not. So I did not know you could not like actually fucking change the music.
Yeah.
But that's pretty rough.
You can mute it. Thumbs up.
True.
There's
True.
an actual mod there in the Nexus mods called what is it? It was the rap music remover. And that's when you know that like
It's funny.
fucking people hate
It's funny
enough
because
to
stuff like
do-
that reminds me of like you remember those like old uploads of like the Kill la Kill soundtrack, no rap? It reminds me of that, but it's like this time it's like actually justified.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that shit fucking sucks.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. All right. Thank you
Oh yeah,
very
my
much,
call
Dark.
out. My because that was my shout out. So shout out to him bringing that back up. Because yeah, that shit should go away. I don't know how Capcom managed to make the Street Fighter 6 soundtrack, but they did.
They did, and they keep doing it.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on there because like Capcom usually releases like really good soundtracks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and I guess my call out is gonna be I'm gonna call out Helldivers too because that game has been
Good.
they've been stepping on rakes over there over and over again for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
even really gonna elaborate. Actually, I mean, I guess like
It's-
the only elaboration is their lead balance guy is like a dude who fucking jumped ship from Hello Neighbor 2 after like just completely mismanaging that project. So
God damn it.
it's a good sign. It's a good sign.
All right. Well, thank you, Dark. I guess my shout out call out is actually although I can't really go back to regular work right now because the office is down. I do I've had a good taste now of like remote work for the first time in a very, very long while, and I like it way better than I do office work because when I go back to the office, I know there are gonna be people who are just gonna talk about random shit that I don't care about for like hours, and I hate being in a work environment like that. So, shout outs to remote work. As for call out, let me see.
You should just tell your
Oh, yeah.
coworkers that you hate them all.
Yeah. Oh, my call out is to fucking what is it? Like the VTuber stuff, where people are having like the handshake meetings, but it's like $60 per 5 minutes or 3 minutes or however many minutes it
It's
is.
1 minute, dude.
Yeah, or some people it's like 1 minute or whatever, and it's like, bro, like, come on, man. You're like hiding behind a fucking 2D avatar. And you're talking to people for like 2 minutes, and you're like, please give me six. Come on, man. Come on, man, bro. let's be
What kind of meaningful
very.
conversation can you say in 2 minutes without fumbling your words?
I mean, and also you're not even showing your face. You like there's
Why do you
nothing
need
that
to show
you
your
are.
face for $55? Hell no.
Do you even wait? So do you even like get anything out of it? Do you get like an autograph or like merch or
No.
anything?
No, you give them stuff like hi, whatever, and you
Oh,
give stuff.
so what? So what? You just go up there and you go like,
Can I get
hey,
a picture?
a picture of
Get a
what?
picture?
The screen?
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Bros are
And then
bros are
you
fucking
can
like
give them
paying
like a signed
tithing.
sign like a signed paper or something. Get a group shot, and then you're done.
Huh. That does not
What
sound worth it at all.
1 minute is definitely not worth it.
How much were these again? What do you say they were like $50?
One of them is 50 for
Wait,
1 minute.
where did I cut out? For some reason, I just cut out.
Like 10 seconds ago. You're fine.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, that's pretty much the call out I had.
$65
Have
for 3 minutes, but that's
Oh
the
my
what is it?
god.
3 minutes is a long time compared to the others.
Not
also
not for 65 fucking dollars.
remember
Those
that
specific ones are for a lottery. So you enter a lottery, and if you win, then you can pay if you want it. Otherwise, whatever.
also
It's
remember that
$50 for one
that
minute though. No, 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 no.
yeah. Also remember that super chats and like general donation messages for most VTubers, except for like the biggest ones that always read the super chats at the very end. Except for those like huge people like Pekora or whatever, or Noel or whoever. Most VTubers just read and respond to the donation messages that come
Yeah,
in
like
anyways,
normally.
which means that you are literally wasting $50 to do something that you could do both for cheaper and at home and get pretty much the exact same reaction. So it's really
I don't know,
kind
Spire.
of
After going to a concert, I get it. I get the feeling of like, hey, this
I just
going in
need that
person
meme
is pretty
picture
good.
of like
A concert,
what
well, a
was it?
concert is very different. Like,
Yeah. I just need that one meme picture of what is it that it was like at one convention where they were all like cheering on like a male VTuber or whatever, and it was like they were on the screen and
Oh,
doing like the
it
music
yeah.
was
of it.
that was $5, Spire. That was a steal.
That well,
But yeah,
that's
I get the con slash meet and greet thing. I get it. So
I
after
definitely
doing
do.
some, it's like, damn, I begrudgingly get it. So I can't
Okay.
fault them.
I
I
can,
can.
but yeah, I definitely can. But
I'm doing my
anyway,
part.
yeah, I that was my shout out.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's gone again. It's over.
Anyway,
Oh, that
would you
was
go?
that
Would you
was
go
the
to a
shout out.
near? Would you go
That
to a free one? Free 1 to 2
free?
minute meet and greet? Yeah.
I mean, if I was like, because these are at cons, right? If I was
Yeah.
already at a con and there was like a meet and greet like panel or something that I didn't have to pay for, then yeah,
Mint is free. 1 to 2 minutes, I believe.
yeah, like
Oh yeah, I'll go.
if I was a fan, then sure. But I'm not paying $60 to walk up to sit. Also, you have to sit in line for these. Keep in mind too. Like you're basically paying to sit in line
Yeah.
longer than you are to talk to these people, right? So no, I would not pay $60 to sit in line and then talk to a screen for 3 minutes. Like that's absurd.
How
You know what I mean?
about 5 minutes
Yeah.
there?
And again, you don't even get
250
an autograph out of these. Like, if you got an
Yeah.
autograph, if these were like an autograph signings, then sure. But like, no. All you do is to be like, hey, I'm a big fan, and then they say thank you, and then you have to like move on. I mean,
Yeah. Wait, where did I
Here.
cut off again? This fucking Discord keeps cutting
you
off.
cut
here.
off
you
at
just said that was
point.
your shout out. And then
Yeah.
you cut it out.
Okay, so
Here.
that was my shout
What
out.
about
and
what
my
about
call.
$50 times 5? You can buy
Yeah,
up to 5
I
tickets
No.
for 5
I
minutes.
think that's my call out. Sorry for continuing to cut off. Discord is being whacked today. But yeah, that was my call out, and fuck VTubers meet and greets. But that's going to be it for the episode today, 247. And I am again going to be off on vacation for a little bit. We will be back on the weekend of June 1st, and hopefully be able to do it on the 1st or 2nd, and continue the spring 2024 reviews. But yeah, if you do like what we do, we stream our podcast every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation, anime and manga, light novels, visual novels, light novels, web novels, so much more. So check us out here. We have our highlights and clips here as well as on YouTube. So whichever format you desire. Updates and news on our social media, Twitter and Facebook. Facebook 4PlayerAnimecast Twitter handle, or x.com handle at 4PlayerAnimecast. So check us out here, check us out there, and as always, we'll see you next time.